He had called for regime change at the Fed. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and now Kevin Warsh will lead it. President Trump posting he's nominating former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh to replace Jerome Powell as Federal Reserve Chairman when his term's up in May. And the president can't wait for Powell to go, saying he's hurt the economy, not cutting interest rates faster and more.
The president in that True Social post said that he will go down as one of the greatest Federal Reserve chairmen. He says he's right out of central casting, and he will never let you down.
That's Fox Business Network's Edward Lawrence at the White House.
Warsh has a record for being an inflation hawk. He advocated heavily for rate hikes during the housing crisis of 2008, which is opposite of what President Trump is looking for right now with his pick. But recently, he says that Warsh now says that he's evolved. His views have changed.
Former CNN anchor Don Lemon arrested
by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel. This obviously all in connection with that storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators.
Fox's Bill Malugin also reports Don Lemon's attorney in a statement just out says the journalist was shining a light on truth and this is an attack on the First Amendment. 3 others who protested in that church had already been arrested and charged. Those angry about immigration enforcement and the deadly shootings related to it are calling on people across America today to ICE out in protest. Don't go to work or school. Don't shop. Republican Congressman Tom Emmer from Minnesota just told Fox.
This type of rhetoric, and by the way, this is coming to your city next? No, it's not, because most cities are cooperating with law enforcement.
That ICE controversy simmers in Congress. House Minority Leader Kevin Hakeem Jeffries tells Fox.
We want to avoid a government shutdown, but it's necessary to ensure that the Department of Homeland Security dramatically changes the way in which it has been conducting itself.
A partial shutdown starts at midnight. There is a potential compromise, but that may not get approved by tonight. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He'll now be sentenced next month. Currently sunny, just 3 in downtown Indianapolis. The high today at 18. Cold temperatures, wind chills early this morning, and again later tonight. Much of southern Indiana under a cold weather advisory. I'm Jarrett Lewis. It's 9:02. Former IMPD officer Kamal Bola is found guilty of child molesting and other crimes against children in Hendricks County. A jury convicted Bola on 6 of the 7 charges he faced. The victim reported the allegations to the sheriff's office back in September of 2024, leading to Bola's arrest. He initially denied the accusations, but later admitted to them. He will be sentenced on February 24th. Indiana Republican Senator Jim Banks said on Thursday that Democrats have it all wrong when it comes to the killing of Alex Preddy. Here's John Herrick.
In an interview with WIBC's Hammer and Nigel, Banks said he saw a new video which appears to show Alex Preddy in a confrontation with federal agents 11 days before he was shot and killed in Minneapolis on January 24th.
The more that we see and learn, and this is the bottom line, the big point. If you don't remember anything else that I say today, it's this: Alex Preddy is not a hero.
He says Preddy might still be alive today if he was arrested and held accountable for confronting federal agents the way he did. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Another hemp-related bill is moving through the Indiana State House. Senator Aaron Freeman is one of 3 who authored Senate Bill 250.
It closes the Farm Bill loophole on hemp. It bans hemp products from anyone under the age of 21, thank God. It creates a brand new structure within the Alcohol Tobacco Commission.
The bill would also change the state's definition of hemp to match the definition from the federal government. Senators passed the bill this week by a vote of 35 to 13 and now heads to the House. The average price of gas in the state dropping a little more today. It's at $2.77 a gallon, according to AAA. The national average remains at $2.87. Similar days this week in Indiana. Forecaster Jason Puma with the National Weather Service says where this cold air is coming from.
Cold air is coming out of north central Canada, and it's kind of like a lobe of the polar vortex. We get these surges of cold air coming down into the Ohio Valley from that area.
The warmest day in the near future is Sunday. Temperatures might reach 23 for a high then. We could also get past the freezing mark as early as Wednesday. FEMA announcing on Thursday that it approved over $4 million in federal grants to support the state of Indiana. FEMA says the money will help cover costs for repairing roads, restoring power services, and rebuilding critical infrastructure that was damaged by severe storms, tornadoes, and flooding from last year. And the Pacers are back at home tonight, coming off a win over Chicago on Wednesday. They will play Atlanta with tip-off at 7. Traffic on the 5s. Here's Matt Bear.
Jared, looking at the north split eastbound 70 crash coming out of it right now. The left lane is blocked. Traffic stopped into the north split. Southbound 6570 slow Washington Street ahead. Then on the south side crash. Westbound 465 at US 31. The right lane is blocked. Northeast side a stall. Northbound 465 at I-69. Right lane blocked. Traffic stop and go back to Penn Pike. A 10-minute delay. Traffic sponsored by Super Shore. Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get Super Shore. Not kind of sure. Not pretty sure, but super sure. Coming soon. I'm Matt Bear with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
Hi, it's T. Brian Hayes here from the Retirement Money Matters Show. In today's rapidly changing, uncertain, and volatile financial world, setting up and maintaining a successful retirement plan has never been more important. To accomplish this, you will have to make some updated and strategic planning moves. Join me this weekend on the Retirement Money Matters Show to learn about several key moves you may very well need to make right away. The Retirement Money Matters Show airs this Saturday morning at 6 a.m. right here on WIBC.
Custom jewelry is not out of reach with PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse. At PA Jewelers, you can customize any piece of jewelry for that special someone. PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse in Brownsburg. Gold, diamonds, gemstones, and of course those watches from Flederman Von Riest, assembled right here in Indiana. Custom design jewelry with PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse. Custom jewelry made just for you. PA Jewelers, 3750 South Green Street in Brownsburg. 317-456-4010. PAJewelers.jewelry.
bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash, with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
Forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Partly to mostly cloudy as we head into the afternoon. Cold, too. Today's high 17. Partly cloudy with some flurries tonight. Frigid with lows near zero. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey, 93 WIBC.
And I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level on the go and on WIBC.com. It's time for Kendall and Casey.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
So there was some breaking news this morning about Don Lemon being arrested in Los Angeles. We're going to get to that. We'll also get to Trump's announcement. He's appointing a new Fed chair. But first, kids, we need to have a talk. Yep, the talk.
The elephant in the room.
When a woman says we need to talk, do you sit up straight and listen, or are you overcome with dread?
No, my first reaction is, oh, God, now what? Now what?
All right, well, 2026 has definitely started off a little weird for the Kendall and Casey show. Over the past couple of weeks, there has been one persistent question that keeps percolating. It's been asked repeatedly on social media, in the YouTube chat room, on the telephone, in the emails, and I have been unable to address this question until now. And even today, I must select my words carefully per the bosses. If you've noticed, there's been something different about the show for the past 2 weeks, and the whole month, actually. You're correct. My friend has posted on his social media accounts the answer to that persistent question and what's been going on with him. The next obvious question, when will there be a resolution? I don't know, and I ask every day. One thing I do know, when you take a risk, we can add courageous to the list of your virtues. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. This question has made people salivate. Nope, I had nothing to do with it. It's out of my control, far from it, way above my pay grade. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know the end goal of either party or their desires and abilities. There was a meme going around yesterday. Thank you, Chris Spangle from IBJ. No, Mike Pence is not going to be filling in. The chair is gone.
He did sit in this chair right here.
No, that chair is gone. Also, some were wondering if I truly was sick at the beginning of the year. Conspiracy theories. That I can talk about, even though I don't want to. Yes, I was really ill. I still am. I had a raging kidney infection and a lesion on my right kidney. Gross, right? In fact, I have another doctor's appointment today. Without spending too much time on it, I want you to know it's actually been a little painful. So don't be surprised if I'm out for a few days. It has nothing to do with what's been going on with my friend. So what's going to happen? What's the plan? I don't know. But I'm going to hope and pray for the best. And as we know, hope is not an action. So I will continue to advocate for myself, specifically medically, just as we have preached for you, our wonderful listeners, to advocate for yourself. If you don't like what's going on, I'm sorry. I guess you can ask for a refund. I want to thank Jim, my awesome husband, who has been here supporting me and helping me and doing a bang-up job. Also, I have to thank Ethan Hatcher, who is no doubt enjoying his Polyphon music box. But mostly, I want to thank you for your grace, your patience, your understanding, and for listening. This is 93 WIBC.
Well, let me chime in here, and Casey, you deserve all the kudos in the world, because this has been difficult on you as well, and others in this process, but you have been advocating to management, to this company for a while now, about more transparency and more authenticity, because that's what this show has always been about, transparency and authenticity. And I think you finally wore them down, and they agreed to let you read that statement on the air here this morning. So again, kudos to you for continuing to push for transparency and authenticity, and that's what we've gotten. Yes, I can attest to the fact that you've been very sick, based on all the doctor's offices I've accompanied you with.
You owed me.
Yeah, okay, fine. You've been to plenty of doctor's appointments and hospital visits with me. But
we got a punch card, right?
Right. Hey, 3 more doctor's visits, and we get a free sub.
Fantastic.
I feel like Elaine on Seinfeld when she kept dating Denim Vest just because he had the punch card so that she could get a free sub.
Sandwich.
So, yes, I can attest to the fact that there's been a lot of doctor's appointments lately, and will continue to be, including one doctor's appointment later today when we get off the show.
It's like if you don't tell people what's going on, they start filling in the blanks, and conspiracy theories pop up, and it's like, what? You want me to live stream when I go to my appointment?
No, you don't want
to. Do you want to see the doctor's note?
You really don't.
You don't.
But again, kudos to you for fighting here internally at the station to have some form of transparency.
Yeah, so hopefully a resolution will come. I don't know. Let's move on and talk about Don Lemon, the former CNN anchor, arrested in Los Angeles. Now, this arrest, it relates to the January 18th incident at that Minnesota church. He had joined and filmed some pro-immigration protesters who disrupted that church service, and that created a national backlash.
Yeah, so this is literally breaking news. It's just come out in the last little bit here, so we're trying to get as much information and deliver it as accurately as possible. But what we're looking at right now is that he is going to be facing charges associated with conspiracy to deprive rights and with the violation of the FACE Act.
Okay, what's the FACE Act?
That bars people from interfering by force of someone's First Amendment rights. And in addition to this, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon also floated charging Lemon under the Ku Klux Klan Act. I didn't even know that existed, but there is one. That act makes it illegal to threaten, hurt, or intimidate people to prevent them from exercising their civil rights. So basically what happened is there was this church service that was taking place. Don Lemon and some other anti-ICE protesters interrupted the service, and he live streamed it on his social media platforms. There was a service going on. They barged in. They interrupted it. They started trying to interview worshipers during the service going on. There was an incredible amount of backlash. The other people, it's being reported that 2 to 3 of the other protesters that were with Don Lemon have already been arrested for their role in the incidents, and then Don Lemon was arrested in California, so depending on the time zone, it was either late last night or very early this morning.
Okay, now has Don Lemon, he hasn't actually been, he's got to be arraigned still, correct?
Yeah, so he
hasn't been technically charged until he's been arraigned.
Yeah, so we're being told, like, for example, by the assistant civil rights attorney, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon. We're getting some information from that person about the type of charges that are expected to be, charged against him, but no one is technically charged with anything until they're arraigned in a court of law. Don Lemon was just arrested recently. He obviously hasn't had his arraignment yet, so some of this is just speculation at this point.
All right, well, let's take a break. We're going to continue on with the news of the day. It is 93 WIBC.
New Year's resolutions come and go. Big Ten wins, you earn those.
Dorn in the corner. Bingo!
Big Ten basketball means tougher defenses, louder buildings, and zero margin for error. Coach Darren DeVries has the Hoosiers ready for the work.
Our mindset has to be, regardless of shots falling, our defense has to keep us in the game.
Up next, IU versus UCLA, Saturday at 5. No fluff, no filler. Hoosier basketball on 93 WIBC.
This is Chuck Lofton, here to talk to you about my friends at Exercise Inc. Exercise Inc. is the 20-minute, once-a-week workout program that will change your life. My wife Mary and I have been clients for 6 years. The program has worked well with my busy schedule. I was getting cardio, but I started the program because I understood the importance of strength training to overall health. It's helped me with managing my blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar. The biggest help? My sluggish feeling was replaced with much-needed energy. It's designed to help clients get stronger in a shorter period of time. The studios are private, just you and your coach working to reach your goals. Exercise Inc. has 5 locations: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now Fishers. So take it from me, Chuck Lofton. Improve the forecast for your health. Go to exerciseinc.com today to request a free consultation.
That's another amazing run by Team USA.
Mom, think I'll be on Team USA one day?
Well, I'll take this one.
What? Are you speaking to us?
Yes, and to answer your question, anything's possible, especially with Xfinity.
So, I can be the best snowboarder ever?
Well, I can't guarantee that, but Xfinity can guarantee that your internet price won't change for 5 years.
Okay. What if I practice every day?
Then maybe you'll be snowboarding for Team USA at the next Olympic Winter Games. And Mom, you'll still be paying the same price for Wi-Fi.
Ooh, really stuck the landing there.
It's the Xfinity Gold Medal Celebration. Now through February 22nd, get our best price on gig Wi-Fi for 5 years guaranteed, just $50 a month. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. That's a $10.99 value per month. Xfinity. Imagine that. Proud partner of Team USA. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary.
It's just alcohol. Everybody drinks. You may have already heard this statement from your team. I'm Tammy Silverman with Indiana Youth Institute. Alcohol is the substance most commonly abused by teens. Survey data shows that 2 in 10 Indiana high school students reported drinking in the past month, and more than half of Hoosier teens say it would be easy to get alcohol. How do you talk with your teen about alcohol use, especially if they see peers or adults drinking? First, understand that your child may point out contradictions in our society's views on alcohol. It's okay to acknowledge those facts. Talk with your teen about the many risks of alcohol use. During your conversation, you can both validate their views and uphold your family values. You are the first line of defense against alcohol abuse, so don't be afraid to talk to your teen. What you say has a big influence on their decision to drink or not. This Kids Count Minute is a message from Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, visit IYI.org.
Kids count on you.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. But most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
You know, this is one of those topics that no one really wants to think about, but if you're a parent, a homeowner, married, or helping take care of aging parents, it's something that honestly deserves a little attention. I'm talking about estate planning. And before you tune out thinking it's complicated or expensive, that's actually why I want to mention Trust and Will. Trust and Will makes estate planning feel way less intimidating than it sounds. They offer modern, attorney-designed wills and trusts that you can create online. And the process is surprisingly straightforward. In fact, you can create a will in as little as 30 minutes. That includes things like guardianship for your kids or pets, how your assets are distributed, and even healthcare directives. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones with Trust and Will, the most trusted name in online estate planning. Go to trustandwill.com/plan to get 20% off. That's trustandwill.com/plan for 20% off. trustandwill.com/PLAN.
The Suburban Indie Home and Outdoor Living Show returns to Grand Park February 6th through 8th.
Shop over 200 exhibitors.
Tickets are only $7.
SuburbanIndieShows.com.
The Indiana House has passed Bill 1002, and it is to address your rising electricity costs. The bill now is going to move to the Indiana Senate. The goal to make electricity more affordable, reliable, and resilient for Hoosiers. Electricity rates in Indiana rose over 17% from 24 to 25. The average increase about $28 per month. And lawmakers are saying that electricity is now a health and safety necessity, especially for vulnerable residents, and they're going to do something about it.
Yeah, this is, with stories like this, and it's typical, unfortunately, but there is
looks good
what's being marketed.
Right.
Hey, here's
the
the story
paper.
I'm going to tell you, and then here's reality. And the story the lawmakers are trying to say is, hey, we don't trust utilities to behave unless we dangle some treats or slap them on the wrist when they're being bad. And honestly, that part isn't wrong. But the other part of it is this is just political performance, because this bill is a lot less about protecting Hoosiers and more about lawmakers trying to look heroic after decades of letting utilities run wild with rate hikes. Because this is what the lawmakers are telling it. Because, again, there's going to be this group that sets up that is going to approve these rate hikes, and there's certain metrics that the utility companies have to hit to be able to raise these rates. But the utility companies are going to be the ones that are setting the benchmarks for all of this. So
right.
they call it performance-based rate making, but it's essentially saying, okay, we'll let you raise rates, but only if you pinky promise, pinky swear to make sure that they're affordable and reliable for everybody.
Yeah, so they've got this performance-based rate making, and the key goals are affordability, reliability, and resilience. But as you mentioned, if they're the ones creating what the performance benchmarks are, they can say, well, yeah, it's affordable.
Absolutely.
We met our mark.
You think they might just...
We did awesome.
You think they might just lower the bar on those benchmarks a little bit? And here's the real kicker. Utilities are still going to get multi-year guaranteed revenue plans, which is a dream. So, look, I'm a small business owner. Nobody's giving me multi-year guaranteed revenue plans. I'd like to be part of that business. Can I do that? These are legislators that are trying to thread the needle and look tough on utilities without doing anything that might potentially disrupt the utilities business model. And keep in mind, two of the largest lobbying groups at the State House are gaming and energy.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, because those gaming and energy are heavily regulated by the state. So they're going to send their lobbyists in there to make those regulations as beneficial to their customers and the utility owners as possible.
So Virginia residents, they're panicking. Not even a full month into 2026, and their electricity bills are now nearly tripling as they're being hit with new Democrat-approved energy rates. We've got one resident here saying she is now paying $600 a month.
I just got my energy bill for the month. Dominion Energy out of Virginia. My bill has tripled. Like, I usually pay about $200, on a regular, $300 on a high note. $621.
Oh,
that's more than my car payment. What the actual hell is going on?
Yeah, can you imagine being the new governor of Virginia? She's been in office for a month now, and this has come and hit her in the face. And the utility companies in D.C., and hard to believe that somebody's got it worse than we do when it comes to utility companies, but in Northern Virginia, that's certainly the case, and they're blaming it on, they're saying, well, it's inflation, and it's cold weather, and it's the data centers and the energy demand, and that's all that's going on. And lawmakers are essentially telling their constituents, yeah, you should probably budget and prepare for this. We're not going to do anything to change it, but you should budget and prepare for this.
And you should expect your rates just to keep escalating. We heard the governor say that energy and utility bills are going to be the property tax issue of this year.
Hey, by the way, we never finished the property tax issue.
They're already moving on to the next problem, even though they didn't solve the first one.
Can we fix one of these before you start heaping on these new problems that are just going to start keep taking money out of our checking accounts?
Senate Bill 88 passed the Indiana Senate yesterday. The vote was 39-9, all no votes from Democrats. And this bill is now going to move to the Indiana House, and it expands Indiana's good citizenship instruction in public schools. What does this thing do? It requires public colleges and universities to accept what they call classic learning test for admissions. Now, this is the same as the SAT or the ACT. It's described as a rigorous alternative. It focuses on reading, writing, and math. And it also includes analysis of text from Plato, Frederick Douglass, and also Isaac Newton. And it changes the good citizen instruction. The Indiana law already requires schools to teach 13 citizenship principles, but this bill will now add a few more. And the concepts are based on the success sequence. So what is the success sequence?
You know what? That's a great question. I don't know that anybody can answer it right now, can they?
Well, it's supposed to give students a clearer pathway for long-term success and poverty avoidance. One of the things that it says is it's trying to promote not having children before marriage.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, look, this is the type of thing. It almost, I long for the days when the legislators spent all of their time on the state sandwich, because at least they weren't doing damage. It feels like almost every bill that's coming out in this legislative session is just more government overreach, more excessive regulation. Look, these things we don't have to legislate morality across every spectrum. So it just seems like this bill, this is the type of thing that Democrats would do. They want you to legislate their views into the curriculum. This isn't the type of things that Republicans should be doing. They should be staying out of this area and concentrating on maybe bringing down property taxes, maybe finding a way to lower your utility costs.
Right. Or just don't focus on anything. I mean, we'd be better off half the time if they did nothing.
Right, exactly. It seems like the legislators,
at least we wouldn't be paying them.
When they're working, they're doing us damage. So again, go back, concentrate on the state sandwich.
Sure.
Maybe I was wrong. I was upset with legislators for wasting their time on the state sandwich. I might have been wrong on that. Spend all your time talking about state sandwiches, because then you're not doing damage by over-regulating us.
You're listening to 93 WIBC.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Don't miss Troop Vertigo, Cirque Magic, February 6th and 7th with the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra, guided by conductor Jack Everly. Troop Vertigo delivers spellbinding acrobatics, stunning physical feats, and breathtaking choreography. Featuring beloved hits from Wicked, including Defying Gravity and Popular by Stephen Schwartz, along with Harry's Wondrous World by John Williams, and classical favorites like Saint-Saëns Bacchanal. Get tickets at IndianapolisSymphony.org or at the ISO box office.
Join us every Friday right around 5:50 for Beer Sample Friday.
Brought to you by Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, home of free delivery within 75 miles of their store.
The Attorney General's Office, reuniting Hoosiers with over $1 million in unclaimed property every week. Visit IndianaUnclaimed.gov or text Hammer and Nigel to 46220 today.
A new year means great new lease deals at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Stop by today and make the most of the new year at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. See dealer for lease offer details. IMI is hiring CDL Class B drivers. Visit their job fair February 4th and February 7th at the Hilton Garden Inn, 6930 Intech Boulevard. Learn more at driveimi.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-529-2856. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-529-2856. That's 800-529-2856 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-529-2856. 800-529-2856.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A former anchor is in cuffs. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Former CNN employee Don Lemon is arrested after reporting on an anti-ICE protest at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota earlier this week. Fox's Bill Malugin has more.
Former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel. This obviously all in connection with that storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators. Now remember, the feds had gone to judges to try to get Don Lemon arrested before. They went to a magistrate judge in Minnesota who didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to a judge above him. He didn't sign on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to an appeals court. They also decided not to sign off for an arrest warrant.
Lemon is accused of violating the Enforcement Act of 1871, which bans interference with certain civil rights, including the right to practice one's religion. In a statement from his attorney, she calls the arrest an unprecedented attack on the First Amendment. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey is warning other mayors across America that their city could soon face an ICE invasion. This comes as nationwide anti-ICE protests are set to take place today, with protesters calling for people to stay home from work or school. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer joined Fox and Friends with a reaction to Mayor Frey's comments.
I wish Small Fry or Mayor Fry would actually recognize the invasion is an invasion of rapists, murderers, and pedophiles who are here illegally in the first place.
The protests come after the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy by federal immigration agents. Borders Czar Tom Homan says ICE will stay in Minnesota until the problem is gone. And President Trump announcing that former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh is his choice to serve as the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. The Senate still needs to confirm Warsh before he takes the role, and Jerome Powell's term as chairman expires in mid-May. Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC is brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management. The Dow is down 170 points, 49,071. The S&P 500 also in the red. It's down 28 points, 6,969. And the NASDAQ is down 161 points, falling to 25,884. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait, and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash, with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
Trust me.
Donald Trump addressed the claims that he appeared to fall asleep during a cabinet meeting. He said he didn't fall asleep. He just closed his eyes because the meeting was boring.
Yeah. Oh, hey, can you blame him? Can you imagine sitting in a presidential cabinet meeting? Yeah, I've got to believe that that's pretty performative and boring, not interesting, tough to stay awake during.
He said it got pretty boring, no offense. He closed his eyes because he wanted to get the hell out of there. He doesn't sleep much. And that is often reported about the long days that he does work, unlike the previous president who is going to bed and shutting things down at 4 p.m., taking naps. So
Right after the early bird dinner,
Right.
right after the early bird dinner, Joe Biden force-feeding himself a steak at 4:30 in the afternoon. It was bedtime.
So the December cabinet meeting lasted 2 hours and 18 minutes. The longest one he has had so far was 3 hours and 17 minutes. That was back in August. I always thought, you know what? Meetings should be 35 minutes or less. If you can't get it done in that amount of time, then you're just repeating yourself. However, I'm not running a country. So
Yeah, exactly.
Those meetings are a little different.
Right. The meetings I used to run where I had everybody stand around the conference room because I knew that would keep everybody's energy up and we were only going to be there 15 minutes anyway. Probably not applicable when it comes to the cabinet of the United States of America. But there are people out there that just look completely disingenuous that are dogging Donald Trump about, closing his eyes during this cabinet meeting. We know his work ethic is well documented. Shoot, we see him shooting off tweets and social media posts at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 in the morning. I mean, he's been doing that for years and years. Everybody knows this. It's to sit here and say, "Oh, look at Donald Trump's too old. He's falling asleep in the cabinet meetings." That's not what Donald Trump is about. He's constantly there and constantly working and constantly doing things into the late night hours all the time.
He said that he loved his cabinet meetings, but he found them dull. And he promised not to go around the table this last cabinet meeting that just happened yesterday. He skipped comments from Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, also Marco Rubio, and also the meeting lasted not quite as long. It was only an hour and 20 minutes. He did give J.D. Vance a chance to speak, and here's what he said.
I just want to thank everybody for being here. My cabinet has been amazing. I like this much better than going around for 3 hours. We'll pick on other ones. Pam, you're doing great. We're all doing great. JD, if you'd like to say something, you can. Would you like to really quickly? He is, after all, the Vice President of the United States.
It's okay, sir. I'm here for the free coffee. I just say it's an honor to serve with this group, and we're doing a lot of good for the American people. We're very proud of it.
Yeah, we're very proud of the country. We're very proud of you.
Okay, so you got to ask yourself what kind of coffee they serve in there.
Oh, I bet it's very good coffee. I bet
Yeah.
it's spectacular. I bet it puts Starbucks to shame. But come on, if you're running meetings, can we please end the trope that takes place in so many meetings where you just go around the conference room and everybody has to give their little report or spiel? It is the worst. As somebody who's had to do that, it's not beneficial. Nobody gets anything out of it. It makes the meeting last way too long. Everybody's sitting there waiting for their turn and feeling like it's their turn to perform. So I've got to speak and defend my job and the work that I do here and that it's so important. No, don't quit doing that. Pick a couple of people who have something that's worth sharing with the entire group and get with them before the meeting and go, "Hey, could you talk for maybe 5 minutes about this so everybody knows what you're doing?" And stop the meeting trope where you go around the entire conference room and everybody speaks. Anytime that happens, you're going to be there in that meeting, stuck in that meeting for at least an hour.
Well,
minimum an hour.
There's going to be somebody in the meeting who just wants to talk to hear themselves speak. They're not actually adding anything beneficial to make progress. They just want to talk. And then there's the meeting. And also, when you're waiting for your turn, are you listening to what they're saying or are you just waiting for your turn?
Of course,
practicing what you're going to say.
You're waiting for your turn and rehearsing your own speech. That's exactly what you're doing when you're waiting for it to be your turn.
I always dislike the tell us something about yourself. Share with the group.
Meeting icebreakers?
No,
just get us out of here.
I'm here for business. Let's move on. So Gavin Newsom was picking on Donald Trump and said that, okay, Grandpa Trump, it's you're bored running the United States of America. And I think, no, he's just like, let's move on to what's important.
Well, and again, disingenuous because a cabinet meeting isn't necessarily running United States of America. It's just another stinking meeting, just like any other corporate meeting that somebody might be stuck in. The real work is done outside of the meeting. That's
One
for
thing
sure.
that it does offer is a bit of transparency or a look inside of what they're discussing or what they want you to think they're discussing.
If you're going to go around the table, everybody gets 60 seconds. Rapid fire. Hit me with something important and then move on to who's next.
Did you see Muffet McGraw, former Notre Dame women's basketball coach? She is publicly calling for Donald Trump to be removed from office. She said he's a fascist, and she blamed the Trump administration for creating an environment where law and justice no longer apply equally. Her post came out 4 days after what happened in Minneapolis.
Yeah, thank goodness. Nothing I love more than people involved in the world of sports, coaches, that sort of thing, giving me their political opinions. So thank you, Steve Kerr. Thank you, former San Antonio Spurs coach Greg Popovich. Thank you, Muffet McGraw, for being the social justice warrior and using your position in sports as leverage to get that message out.
Every time I see Steve
That
Kerr,
was sarcasm. I'm sorry. I might not have come across right. That was sarcasm. I'm not really thanking them. I really detest it on every level.
every time I see Steve Kerr, it looks like he's about to cry. You know,
He's very upset. He's very concerned
He's
about
very
all of this,
emotional.
and none of it has to do with coaching the Golden State Warriors. Look, I having lived in Northern Indiana and worked in the media, I've had many interactions with Muffet McGraw over the years, and I'm trying to figure out how I should say this. She is exactly the type of person that you think she is when she comes out with statements like
she's
this.
a very successful basketball coach. You know, when we moved to South Bend, back when the earth was young, she was one of the first people that I met, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we worked in media there and had a lot of interactions with her. And like I said, the type of person that would use this platform to do this and have that sort of position, that's exactly the type of person she is in private as well.
So we turn our attention to Tom Homan, President Trump's border czar. He said he sees a path forward to de-escalation in the Twin Cities as cooperation. That's what needs to happen. He struck a cooperative tone during his press conference, and he is now the acting mediator between Donald Trump and the leaders, the elected officials, should I say, not always leading properly, the elected officials in Minneapolis.
Let me tell you, I'm done with the Democrats that have been coming after ICE in this. I'm done with the talking heads, too, and here's why. Every single one of them was dead silent while Joe Biden let 10 million illegal immigrants come into this country the last 4 years before that. Not a one of them said anything about the women and children that were being sex trafficked. None of them said anything about the 250,000 Americans that lost their lives to fentanyl overdoses during this process. None of them had anything to say about that during Joe Biden's term, except for, oh no, Joe, this is the most fit Joe Biden we've ever seen in our lives. They spent the entire 4 years telling us how bright and sharp, and Joe hasn't lost a beat. They didn't say anything about all the awful things that have happened in this country when it comes to illegal immigration. So their opinions now, with the way that Trump is deciding to handle illegal immigration, are completely null and void because they had been silent on it the last 4 years.
Tom Homan told protesters that he's going to enforce the law just like he has with 6 different presidents.
Again, ICE is making this up. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress and signed by the president. The same laws have been on the books for the last 6 presidents I worked for. I started with President Reagan and ending with President Trump. Every administration, we enforce the same laws. If you don't like what ICE is doing, instead of protesting this building, go protest Congress. Tell me you want changes. You have your First Amendment rights, I support that. You have the right to protest. I'm just asking you to keep it peaceful. But threatening law enforcement officers, engaging in impeding and obstruction and assault is never okay. And there will be zero tolerance. You interfere, impede, assault an ICE officers, you will be arrested.
You have to keep in mind, Tom Homan actually received a medal from Barack Obama for his work. And it's unfortunate. Sometimes you can't have a conversation with somebody who hates you and who has been told to hate you repeatedly.
That's a great example of what I was saying. Tom Homan was awarded a medal by Barack Obama. All of these immigration problems hit their peak when Joe Biden was in office. The last 4 years, they never said anything. But it's par for the course when it comes to politicians and pundits that are on the left. Similar. Hey, they were very upset that Donald Trump decided to bomb Iran or went down to Venezuela to capture President Maduro. Yet they said nothing when Barack Obama was killing people all across the world with drones. I mean, nobody killed more people with drones than Barack Obama, and the left and the Democrats had nothing to say about it.
Yeah, they were pretty quiet when that was happening. So here's Representative Jeffries. He says that they intend to proceed with impeachment proceedings if Kristi Noem isn't fired.
I did reiterate in my conversation with Speaker Johnson that we intend to proceed with impeachment proceedings if Kristi Noem is not fired. Kristi Noem is a complete and total embarrassment. She's a disgrace.
Oh.
And on top of all of that, she's presided over the cold-blooded killings of American citizens.
Okay, so what's he going to say about Alejandro Mayorkas? Right?
Right, the former cabinet member under the Biden administration. Exactly.
Who let illegals come in?
I mean, again, completely disingenuous, completely political theater, because if the Democrats are going to start impeachment proceedings against Kristi Noem, they have no power. They don't have the votes in Congress. So let me tell you what that means. That means them essentially talking to a wall on, in the halls of Congress, and nothing ever coming up to a vote and nothing being done. This is all completely performative. There's going to be no impeachment of Kristi Noem because the Democrats don't have enough people in power in Washington.
It is 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Hi, it's T. Brian Hayes here from the Retirement Money Matters Show. In today's rapidly changing, uncertain, and volatile financial world, setting up and maintaining a successful retirement plan has never been more important. To accomplish this, you will have to make some updated and strategic planning moves. Join me this weekend on the Retirement Money Matters Show to learn about several key moves you may very well need to make right away. The Retirement Money Matters Show airs this Saturday morning at 6 a.m. right here on WIBC.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 3/22/26. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
You still thinking job change in the new year? Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy. IT? Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI. That's what I did. Really? How? Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up. Sweet. Are classes online or on campus? Both. Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
When the cold takes over, Bassett Services is the name you can trust to keep your home warm and safe. From furnace repairs to full system replacements, we provide reliable solutions with care and professionalism. For urgent repairs or routine maintenance, Bassett delivers service you can depend on. We've been the first call for heating and cooling in Indianapolis for decades, so sound the hound at BassettServices.com for all your heating needs. Bassett Services.
Always by your side.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Don't miss Heart live at Fisher's Event Center Saturday, March 15th. Experience an unforgettable night of legendary hits. Get your tickets now at WIBC.com.
Now would ya, Barracuda?
car makers are going into the banking business. You've got Ford and GM, and they have received conditional approval from federal regulators to establish industrial banks. They can give out loans. Only in the U.S. The banks are going to focus on auto financing products nationwide, and it's going to be Ford and GM, and they both have chartered banks in Utah. They set those up 12 months ago, but now they're going to go nationwide. It's going to allow the automakers to fund loans using your deposits, and they say it's going to be cheaper than their current borrowing methods. Of course it will be, because they're the bankers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is the automakers realizing, hey, we let banks profit off of our customers by giving them loans. How about we just do that ourselves? And this has been going on in the retail space for a long time. In fact, there were, a number of stories. Victoria's Secret in the last 5, 6, 7 years filed for bankruptcy. And a lot of information came out in those bankruptcy filing. And what we found out was, this is true for a lot of different retailers, is that, and I'm summarizing here, so, but for the most part, Victoria's Secret didn't make any money selling clothing in stores. They made all their money off of issuing the Victoria's Secret's credit card and getting people to sign up for it. So this is why whenever you go into a retail establishment, it's always like, well, you'll get a 25% discount if you sign up for our credit card today. It's because they're not making very much money off of the stuff they're selling to you in the stores. All their real profits come by creating that credit card, by getting the people to sign up for it, put charges on it, and then hopefully they don't pay their bill off every month, and then we get to charge them an incredible interest rate in exchange.
Right.
This is the automotive industry doing something that retail has been doing for 10 or 15 years now.
But don't kid yourself. They're going to say that these banks could enhance the financing flexibility and also compete with traditional banks, and that it could potentially benefit dealers, lenders, and consumers. But at the end of the day, who it's going to benefit is the dealers.
Right. I'm going to tell you, hey, look,
I'm going to tell you it's for you.
This is all consumer first. We're just doing this because we love the American consumer and we want to give them more options. No, they're doing this so they can make more money, and they will start to make more money because that's a big part of the entire financial process when you go to buy a car is obviously financing it. Banks have been getting the benefit and the profits off of that financing. Ford and GM looks like they're going to try and take some of them profits for themselves.
Okay, let's talk about what's going on with Marco Rubio. He testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He was defending the Trump administration's military operation to oust former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. He described the operation as a targeted move, and it was a major U.S. security threat in the Western Hemisphere, and that's why they did it. You've got Venezuelans interim leaders currently.
It's going to be
cooperating and running that.
It's going to be shocking when I say this, but whenever Marco Rubio is on C-SPAN, it's turned into must-watch TV.
Yeah.
Like he's the best at handling these questions. Whenever he's talking in front of a committee or subcommittee or Congress or anything like that, and the Democrats try and play this gotcha game and get him with all the questions, it is incredible his ability to just turn those words around and put them right back at him.
Right back on him. I had said quite a while ago, a lot of people don't like Marco Rubio. They think he's a rhino and such. But I had said a while ago, as far as cabinet members go, he's the one who has grown the most, and it's visible. You can see it.
It's easily been the most impressive cabinet member so far under the Trump administration. And I think when Trump came into office last year, the assumption was, J.D. Vance, he's vice president. He's going to be the front runner for the Republicans in 2028. And I think that's still the case. But that margin, that lead that J.D. Vance had is no longer as big. Rubio, every time you see him in public, he just keeps becoming more and more impressive.
So we've got a Marco Rubio greatest hits.
Do it.
Here's some of the things he said yesterday.
Will you make a public commitment today to rule out U.S. regime change in Cuba?
Regime change?
Yes.
Oh, no, I think we would love to see the regime there change.
The president just mistook the two countries for each other, correct?
Yeah, he meant to say Greenland, but I think we're all familiar with presidents that have verbal stumbles. We've had presidents like that before. Some made a lot more than this one.
Boom.
Bombing a capital, blockading a country, and removing elected officials.
We didn't remove an elected official. We removed someone who was not elected, and it was actually an indicted drug trafficker in the United States.
Are you the lead for U.S. government on foreign policy?
No. The lead on U.S. foreign policy is named Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States.
We have not received any information on the Board of Peace. Do you commit to informing us about what the heck this is?
Yeah, it's a Board of Peace.
What is your criteria for for returning to a military option and putting boots on.
Well, I don't recall the president saying he was going to put troops in Venezuela. Where did he say that?
I'm asking you, what are your...
But that's what you said. I didn't remember
the president has already said that he was ready to put American troops in Venezuela.
No, I think the president has said that he retains the right as commander-in-chief to protect the United States against any imminent threats. Maybe that involves troops, maybe that involves air power. We hope, but we don't anticipate that being the case in Venezuela.
So Donald Trump said...
Just 60 seconds of
I know,
bangers.
I know.
Just one after the other. Who speaks on C-SPAN to Congress, and you could put together a highlight reel
a
of
montage.
it. It's
right?
awesome.
So Donald Trump said Marco's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. And he may be quite, he's in the running, definitely in the top. So if it came down to Rubio or Vance, who are you going with? That's a decision you might have to answer.
And I mean, part of this is, we're just playing parlor games here and speculating on what might happen and who from the Republicans might run in 2028. And to their credit, both Rubio and Vance have come out and said that, Vance is the front runner and the presumed nominee so far in the Republican primary process, and Rubio would step aside for him. So this is a lot of speculation, but it wouldn't surprise me if Rubio ends up changing his mind if his stock keeps rising at the rate it is right now. Because at the rate it is right now, if he still keeps going in that direction, he's going to be the most popular politician in the entire country here pretty quick.
People had a lot of fun with the fat J.D. Vance meme.
Love the fat J.D. Vance meme.
The Marco Rubio meme is even better, because he gets dressed up in all sorts of different costumes.
I saw one this week that had him, and if you don't know this meme, it's Marco Rubio that's sitting on a couch somewhere, and he's
in the Oval Office.
The real photo is him just wearing a suit and tie, but then people have used AI to put him in costumes in different situations, and there was one where he was wearing a Venezuelan military uniform, and it was like, after we captured Maduro's, here's Marco Rubio preparing to be the president of Venezuela. And the most recent one I saw this week was Marco Rubio wearing a dress and long hair and makeup, and it said, here's Marco Rubio getting ready to replace Kristi Noem as Department of Homeland Security Secretary.
Now, one I saw just yesterday, and we talked about this the other day, I saw him in a pair of shorts and a plaid shirt that was tied at the waist, and it said, here is Marco Rubio getting ready to save Twin Peaks.
Oh, good one. We
The
just talked
restaurant.
about Twin Peaks and them filing for bankruptcy the other day. My favorite was during the national championship game, Indiana versus Miami. Marco Rubio wearing a full Miami Hurricanes uniform, shoulder pads, helmet, and everything. And it said, Marco Rubio getting ready to have to play quarterback for University of Miami.
Trying to help Miami. You're listening to 93 WIBC.
This is Chuck Lofton, here to talk to you about my friends at Exercise Inc. Exercise Inc. is the 20-minute, once-a-week workout program that will change your life. My wife Mary and I have been clients for 6 years. The program has worked well with my busy schedule. I was getting cardio, but I started the program because I understood the importance of strength training to overall health. It's helped me with managing my blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar. The biggest help? My sluggish feeling was replaced with much-needed energy. It's designed to help clients get stronger in a shorter period of time. The studios are private, just you and your coach working to reach your goals. Exercise Inc. has 5 locations: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now Fishers. So take it from me, Chuck Lofton. Improve the forecast for your health. Go to exerciseinc.com today to request a free consultation.
Mark Dietel, real estate expert, the only local real estate agent I would trust with the sale of my home, the only real estate agent and his team I'd trust with finding me a new one, like Heath in Indianapolis. They were preparing for the new build and needed their current home sold at a specific time, date, and price. Mark Dietel's team listed it strategically, sold it in just 4 days for full price. Their expertise made their moves smooth and stress-free.
What separates Mark Dietel from the competition is the guarantee. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. That's right, he will buy it. Mark Dietel, the best in the business. Call him right now, 317-755-4232, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietel.com. Ask about the guarantee and tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
2 minutes from the Dugan Air Heating and Cooling Mitsubishi Electric Studios, who an Indiana senator says are the real heroes up in Minnesota, when a former IMPD officer will be sentenced after being found guilty this week of multiple crimes involving children, and the aid that's coming to the state from FEMA. Those stories and more after Fox News. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
It's an attack on the First Amendment. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Don Lemon's lawyer claims after the former CNN anchor was arrested in a federal crackdown on a Minnesota protest.
Don Lemon taken into custody at a hotel in Los Angeles Thursday night by federal law enforcement, almost 2 weeks after activists stormed a Christian church in an anti-ICE protest in St. Paul, Minnesota. The former CNN anchor was with the group. Last week, a judge refused to sign a federal arrest warrant for Lemon. Several others have been charged in the case.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. The anti-ICE anger grew even more after Saturday's shooting of a protester, Alex Preddy, who President Trump on Truth Social this morning called an agitator, maybe even an insurrectionist, citing videos of Preddy clashing with federal agents days before the shooting. Meanwhile, there's a call for people across America to not go to school or work today, not to shop. Fox's Kevin Cork reports from Minneapolis.
Those ICE out protests scheduled for all over the country, restaurants and even some schools in different locales will be shut down, not just today, but over the weekend as well, all in solidarity of the anti-ICE protests, which of course have been gripping this city.
Democrats are demanding ICE reform, which could lead to another government shutdown, a partial one with a midnight funding deadline.
The deal that President Trump and Senate Democrats hashed out would separate the DHS funding bill from 5 other bills. The programs included in the 5-bill package would be funded through September. DHS would be under a 2-week stopgap bill to allow Democrats more time to negotiate changes.
But Fox's Madeline Rivera reports even if it passes the Senate, the House wouldn't consider it till at least Monday. President Trump's picked a new leader for the Fed, nominating Kevin Warsh to replace Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, who the president says did not cut interest rates enough.
Markets perceive Warsh as supporting lower interest rates, but they see him stopping short of more aggressive easing. The nomination must be confirmed by the Senate. Powell's term as chair expires in mid-May.
That's Fox's Jenny Casola. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He says he's no hero. Right now it's sunny and 8 in downtown Indy. Today's high around 17. More on the weather coming up. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Indiana Republican Senator Jim Banks says he's seen new video that shows Alex Preddy in a confrontation with federal agents more than a week before he was shot and killed in Minneapolis.
He was engaged in activities that he should have been held accountable for. He should have been arrested 2 weeks before he was shot. I mean, in fact, he might still be alive today if he was arrested and held accountable.
Senator Banks tells WIBC's Hammer and Nigel the threats against ICE officers have gotten out of hand. A former Indianapolis police officer is convicted of a series of sex crimes against a child. Hendricks County prosecutors say Kamal Bola, who spent 6 years on the force, was found guilty of child molesting, sexual misconduct with a minor, voyeurism, and obstruction of justice. The only charge he avoided was one additional count of child molesting. He was arrested in September of 2024 after a family member went forward with allegations to the sheriff's office. Drivers on I-465 on the south side of Indianapolis should anticipate delays due to a crash involving a semi this morning at mile marker 2.3 on the westbound side. The incident occurred just past the US 31 and East Street exit. Extremely cold temperatures and wind chills will take us into the weekend. Forecaster Alex McGinnis from the National Weather Service on when we could see temperatures get above 20 again.
Hopefully, when we look at
the late weekend coming up, we will climb in the Indianapolis area at least into the low to mid-20s. You're asking about 30s. I think Monday we will be nearing 30. Monday we'll say upper 20s in Indianapolis.
He says we could get past the freezing mark as early as Wednesday. FEMA says they're helping out the state of Indiana. John Herrick explains how.
FEMA is providing more than $4 million in federal grant money to support the state and its recovery efforts from all the severe weather like tornadoes and flooding that hit Indiana last year. Some of that money is going to critical road repairs in Decatur, Warwick, and Vanderburgh counties, as well as debris removal from roads and public properties across Bartholomew, Clark, Morgan, and Warwick counties. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Plenty of college basketball this weekend. Purdue will try to get back in order when they head to Maryland on Sunday. They've lost their last three. On Saturday, IU heads to UCLA. Notre Dame visits Syracuse. Indiana State will host Valparaiso, and Butler is at home against Georgetown. And the Pacers are back at home tonight, coming off a win over Chicago on Wednesday. Forward Pascal Siakam says teammate Andrew Nembhard is starting to find his way around the NBA as a point guard.
He just understands it and knows when to, get me in some touches. Like he's really taking another step in terms of just managing the game, and it shows with his assist numbers.
The Pacers have won 2 of their last 3 games. They play Atlanta this evening at 7. I'm Jarrett Lewis on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Kendall and Casey back in 1 minute.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
In case you didn't hear, let me be the first to tell you, Don Lemon, former CNN anchor, has been arrested by federal authorities in Los Angeles. This happened last night. It's in connection with that protest at that Minnesota church service that took place on January 18th. Now, there have been some other arrests. 3 other people were also taken into custody. And that protest was targeting City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota, where a pastor allegedly works with ICE. Lemon had been covering the event as a journalist.
Yeah, he was indicted by a grand jury in Minnesota. He hasn't been arraigned yet, but it's expected that he'll be charged with conspiracy to deprive rights and a violation of the FACE Act, which prohibits interfering in someone else's right to worship. He also, an official said that he could possibly be charged further. This was a statement from one of the attorney generals that said that he could be charged with the Ku Klux Klan Act, which prohibits people from violently opposing other people's civil rights. I didn't even know there was a Ku Klux Klan Act, but apparently they're considering that charge against Don Lemon as well.
He has yet to be arraigned, so not officially charged, just arrested.
But he has been indicted by a grand jury in the state of Minnesota.
Okay. Household incomes have risen nationwide over the past 50 years, but growth has been uneven across the United States. We've got a list of the top growth states and the lowest growth states. So where has income risen the most across the country? Not here. Not here in
Shocker.
Indiana. Yeah. Utah, with a 78% increase. Lots of people going to Utah. The median income for someone in Utah, $93,421.
Nothing but rich people going to Utah. Good
Call
for them.
the moving van.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, do you think if you just show up there, you become rich?
Right.
Or you have to be rich before you move there?
Colorado, New Hampshire, California, Arizona, and Virginia also top a list of growth states. Lowest growth, with the exception of Virginia, all include Midwestern states. Yeah, we're in there. The average median income for people in the Midwest, $55,948. Mississippi, by the way.
I was going to guess. We should have played the game, the contest where you let me guess what the answer is because I would have guessed Mississippi, and
the
I
average
would have been a
income
winner.
in
Darn it.
Mississippi, $54,203. Interesting. States with colder climates and higher property taxes tended to see more growth.
Well, that's because the richer people can afford to live there.
They can afford the higher property
Exactly.
taxes.
You can afford the cost of living in that areas if you're rich.
Speaking of the cost of housing and high property taxes, Donald Trump wants housing prices to rise, not fall. He says this is a move to protect current homeowners and their wealth. It's number 7, Kevin. Can we play that clip? He said he aims to make buying easier by lowering interest rates without reducing home values.
Existing housing, people that own their homes, we're going to keep them wealthy. We're going to keep those prices up. We're not going to destroy the value of their homes so that somebody that didn't work very hard can buy a home. We're going to make it easier to buy. We're going to get interest rates down. But I want to protect the people that for the first time in their lives feel good about themselves. They feel like that they're wealthy people. And I want them to understand it. There's so much talk about, we're going to drive housing prices down. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people that own their homes. And they can be assured that's what's going to happen.
Trump recently opposed using 401k savings account for home down payments. He cited protection of existing homeowners' wealth. That's interesting. It's not going to make a lot of people happy, but there's no making anybody happy. It's very hard to please people, right? Because if prices are low, they're going to be mad that the value goes down. But if prices are high, they're mad that their property taxes are high.
In some aspects, this was one of the reasons why people love Donald Trump, because he's totally unfiltered. He's like the first politician that's ever came out and spoken the truth on this. And that is, if we create more affordable housing, that is going to drag down the housing prices of existing homes. But nobody's been willing to come out there and say that. So, and the idea that lowering interest rates will magically take expensive homes and make them more affordable just isn't true at all. But that is what's so wild about this, is that he came out and said the honest truth. He's not even pretending that the goal of all of this is affordability. He's saying the quiet part out loud. Mm-hmm. I want interest rates I want housing prices to rise, because that benefits everybody that owns a house. But we've kind of known about this for a while, because most of what keeps housing prices high are the local regulations, zoning regulations that happen in your individual communities. There's a lot of zoning regulations to where if you're a developer and you want to develop some area and create housing, well, they're going to require, it can't be more than 3 stories tall, or if you build a duplex or a quadplex, you can only have so many units, when the fact of the matter is that the more units you build, you get greater scale and the affordability and the cheaper price, the price comes down on that housing. But Donald Trump is saying just the opposite. So he's going to make a lot of people mad because Democrats are going to come out and say, no, we want cheap housing for everybody. And when you say, okay, great, what are you going to do about it? They're going to say, stuff. I'm
going to do
we're going to do things and stuff, and it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. We're stuck in a really difficult situation here, because there is no way to create more affordable housing without dragging down existing home prices.
The median U.S. home price in November of 2025, $433,000.
That's nationwide?
Nationwide.
$433,000.
Yeah. And this year it's supposed to have an increase of 1.9%. So there may be a housing market slump currently, but sales of one particular group is skyrocketing.
Yeah, what's that?
Houses over $10 million. The ultra luxury segment. Can you imagine that?
But
they're booming.
Again, part of what we talked about. This is a K-shaped recovery, or a K-shaped economy that we're in. And if you think about it, one of the arms sticking out of the K goes up and the other one goes down. And we've got kind of two economies that are running here, to where if you own assets, if you own a house and you've got some equity, if you own stocks, if you own a small business, asset values keep going up, so your wealth goes up. But if you're relying on your income from your job every day to create wealth, that's where people are struggling, because the wages have not kept up with inflation. So higher food prices and higher energy prices, and cars are more expensive, and my taxes, especially property taxes, keep going up and up and up. If you've got this asset base, stocks, a house, a small business you own, you can manage those increases a lot better than if you're just relying on your income.
What's it like to have $10 million, though, to buy a house? I mean, that's a huge, enormous house, right? But what's that feeling?
I can't
Do you even look at your bank account? If you've got that kind of money, do you even consider where you're at? You're like, I'm good.
Someone once told me that rich people make decisions for reasons that we will never understand. And I thought that was very wise. I can't even imagine what it's like to have the kind of money where I can spend $10 million on a single property.
So Fernando Mendoza, he was on a podcast recently, and he was talking about a nickname that he's been given. It's number 8, Kevin. Yeah, you've got it. All right, here is Fernando Mendoza talking about his nickname.
I have a lot of nicknames.
All right.
So people call me Nando. Some people call me Mendoza just because that's how my last name, the jersey kind of deal. Nando, one of the nicknames I liked a lot was, I'm a Star Wars fan. So some of my friends started calling me shout out the Rachinas, the Nandalorian.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pushing that name out there. I mean, that's my agenda.
Nando.
I love that because if you've ever been around, especially a bunch of guys, he just explained how nicknames evolve. So his name is, Mendoza. He got the name Nando, and that was the nickname, I'm sure, for a while. And then all of a sudden, it expanded from Nando to Nandalorian, obviously a takeoff on the Star Wars series, The Mandalorian. Do groups of women do nicknames like guys do?
Not so much the last name like guys do.
But I mean, nicknames in general. Is that a thing in like groups of women? Because it's a big thing in groups of guys. Guy friend groups and guy group chats. It's usually nobody's calling each other by their real names. What are we doing here?
It's more prevalent with their children. For example, our daughter, Emily.
Yeah.
Sometimes I call her Emelita, Mamacita. Doodle, another nickname that I have for her, which became Doodly.
I get that. That's parents and a family dynamic doing it, but this seems to be kind of bro culture and things that guys do: give each other nicknames and then expand upon them and take them from Nando to the Nandalorian.
Many people are saying that once Fernando Mendoza's football career is over, he'll be in the media for sure.
Are we already? That's what we're doing?
We've already got him done playing football.
Right, exactly. His NFL career is already over, and we're trying to figure out what he's going to do next.
We're already moving on to that.
Where do you think he's going to retire at when he's 65 years old?
Is that what we're working
Can
on?
we let the guy just have the moment and the fun? He won the Heisman Trophy. He's the national champion. He's going to be the number 1 pick. Just enjoy the moment that we're living in and quit trying to force feed us what might happen in 10 or 15 years.
What was the video? Who was the video? Who produced that video you showed me this morning?
Okay, so the College Football Playoff Committee runs their own independent social media accounts, and they pushed out last night. I saw this around 11 o'clock last night when I was aimlessly scrolling social media right before going to bed. They produced, of course, we're all familiar with the famous run that he had in the national championship game. We've seen it from every angle. Tons of low production and high production examples out there, but the College Football Playoff Committee, I know it's on their Twitter and it's on their TikTok account, produced what I think is the best version of that. It's a really tight shot of just him. It's like 4K video. It's crisp.
High
it's
quality.
Beautiful. It uses the music from the movie Moneyball behind it, so it's got this very
Slow-mo.
cinematic appearance to it. It's fantastic. Go check out the College Football Playoffs Twitter and TikTok account. The video is posted there. It's the best version of his famous national championship game run that I've seen to date. And believe me, I've seen them all. I've spent the last week doing nothing but watching highlights of the Hoosiers national championship win.
Be honest, how many times did you watch it?
I sat there. I kept going over it again and again. I probably watched it 40 or 50 times, and that's not a joke. Now, it's short. It's probably only 15 or 20 seconds, but it was so fascinating to me because there's different things that you see in it every time you watch it. If you look at different things, like, for example, that first little juke move he makes, he steps over center Pat Coogan's legs, and you can see, because it's in slow motion, Fernando Mendoza, he's like looking at the ground, making sure I'm not tripping over this guy's legs. Okay, I'm past that. Now I'm looking up again. I watched it a bunch of other times where I just watched the crowd reactions in the background, and that was fun because as soon as he started to run, you saw one guy, there's thousands of people in the crowd, one guy put his arms up, and then he got to the first down marker, and a bunch of other people put their arms up, and then by the time he was in the end zone, the whole stadium had their arms up. It's a great video clip.
You're listening to 93 WIBC.
There is new video of Alex Preddy,
93 WIBC,
clashing with agents a week before.
What happens next?
An organization called the News Movement says it shot this video as part of a documentary.
Happens here.
New Fox News poll, nearly 6 in 10 believe ICE has been too aggressive.
Stay in the know.
The Federal Reserve decided not to change interest rates yesterday.
While you're on the go.
People worried about U.S. military action in several regions.
On air, online,
and on Alexa. The 2026 NCAA Men's Final Four is coming to Indy. The fun starts Friday, April 3rd with the NCAA Men's Final Four Fan Fest presented by Capital One. Experience interactive games for all ages, celebrity and athlete appearances, giveaways, and much more. Come ready to play April 3rd through the 6th at the Indiana Convention Center. Fan Fest is free for kids 12 and under, Capital One card holders, college students, military personnel, and 2026 Final Four ticket holders. Visit ncaa.com/men's Final Four.
My grades were bad. I would get D's and C's.
I appeared to be doing good at my school life, but if you would see me at home, it would have been a completely different story.
I mean, it was just rough focusing on school when your mother is somebody you have to take care of. It got worse and worse and worse throughout the years.
There are students who need somebody. They can trust someone, and it could be the first person they've ever trusted in their life.
Communities in Schools is lowering America's dropout rate by helping more than 1.3 million kids every year get whatever they need to succeed in school.
If something was going on at home, we would go just stop by Miss Liberty's office and talk to her.
Communities in Schools vouched for me when everyone else had lost hope.
You can help change the picture of education right here in your community and across the nation. Visit communitiesinschools.org.
I hear people say we can't save every kid, but I think that we can.
It's just alcohol. Everybody drinks. You may have already heard this statement from your teen. I'm Tammy Silverman with Indiana Youth Institute. Alcohol is a substance most commonly abused by teens. Survey data shows that 2 in 10 Indiana high school students reported drinking in the past month, and more than half of Hoosier teens say it would be easy to get alcohol. How do you talk with your teen about alcohol use, especially if they see peers or adults drinking? First, understand that your child may point out contradictions in our society's views on alcohol. It's okay to acknowledge those facts. Talk with your teen about the many risks of alcohol use. During your conversation, you can both validate their views and uphold your family values. You are the first line of defense against alcohol abuse, so don't be afraid to talk to your teen. What you say has a big influence on their decision to drink or not. This Kids Count Minute is a message from Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, visit IYI.org.
Kids count on you. Puccini's 7 side locations. Puccini's Pizza Pasta.com. Puccini's 7 side locations. Puccini's Pizza Pasta.com.
Founded right here in Indianapolis in 1991 and winner of the World Pizza Championships in Parma, Italy.
Puccini's 7 side locations. Puccini's Pizza Pasta.com.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been a local, family-owned and operated business for nearly 50 years and helps keep Central Indiana's economy strong by employing over 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis stands by their products and services while they share and embrace our conservative values. So when you have garage door problems, call them today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis, 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash, with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
Trust me.
Did you ever take the Pepsi challenge when you were younger?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I did. So I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and I was at the mall with my mom and probably my brothers and sisters,
Mm-hmm.
and they had this little kiosk set up, and they were doing the Pepsi challenge. This would have been the early 80s, and I lost my mind as a 7 or 8 year old. I was like, Mom, I gotta take the Pepsi challenge. I can't believe the Pepsi people are here. They're here. I gotta take the Pepsi. And there was a really long line, and so I was like begging my mom and trying to convince her, let me stand in line and take the Pepsi challenge, and she did. And I got up there, took the Pepsi challenge, and I recall specifically I chose Pepsi.
You did.
Which is what a stupid 7-year-old would do, is choose Pepsi, because of course now that I'm an adult, I know the right answer is Coke, and it's not even close. What are we talking about here? Why are we still talking about this? And we're going to do the story about Pepsi here in just a second, but I just find it fascinating that Pepsi is still battling Coke all these years later.
Yeah, they are. And that's interesting that you picked Pepsi. It tastes more sugary to me.
It tastes sweeter, so as a 7-year-old, yeah. I mean, I'm all about whatever. Jam as much sugar into my body as I could when I was 7 years
Well,
old.
I think Pepsi is trying to bring back the rivalry, and they're doing it by hijacking Coke's polar bear mascot. They have released their Super Bowl ad, and it's definitely restarting the soda wars. They have the iconic Coke polar bear in their ad, and the polar bear is doing the Pepsi challenge,
As he should.
and he picks Pepsi.
Oh, there's a shocker.
Yeah, let's take a listen to it. And you've got the polar bear starting out. He's blindfolded. He's sitting there. And you've got a Pepsi and a Coke in front of him. And then he goes to see a psychiatrist.
You're not the only one. This can be heavy.
And then you see him walking
about
down
your
the
mother.
street. He's looking lost. Comes across a table of young people all drinking Pepsi. And he feels like, oh, I found my people. And then all of a sudden, a female polar bear appears.
Hey now.
And she hands him a Pepsi. They go to a concert together. And then there's the viral shot
I
from the
know where this is
Coldplay
going.
concert.
Yeah, play on the viral Coldplay concert issue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's how the commercial ends. Is it too late for the Coldplay reference? Have we moved on from that?
No, I think it's still valid, especially for what's probably going to be a short-run Super Bowl commercial. But and again, like we talked about earlier, how we're losing our grip on society here because these companies are releasing their Super Bowl commercials before the Super Bowl, totally ruining it for us. That's number one. I guess it kind of makes sense from Pepsi's standpoint because the I guess that the Coca-Cola polar bear isn't trademarked. And I guess that's how, or at least if it is trademarked, Pepsi created a polar bear that was different enough to where they wouldn't face a trademark warning on this. This is all part of Pepsi kind of relaunching the Pepsi Challenge. Interestingly enough, this time around, they're doing it with Pepsi Zero and Coke Zero as opposed to the normal ones because that's the big growth area. But I thought this was over. I thought we decided as a society long ago, Coke is better. Coke has won the cola wars. We decided it like 30 years ago, and Pepsi's always going to be number two. But Pepsi keeps barking up this tree and trying to conquer Coke, I guess.
It's been 50 years since the original Pepsi Challenge.
That's why they're doing it this year. It's the 50th
to
anniversary.
Celebrate the 50th anniversary.
Right, to celebrate the 50th
there
anniversary of the Pepsi
Challenge. There are going to be young
Challenge.
people who have no idea what this is about.
I'd say most young people would have.
They don't know where it
In fact, I'd
stems
say
from.
there's probably a lot of old people that were, too young at the time to remember that the Pepsi Challenge existed. But that was a huge piece of pop culture. Everybody knew the Pepsi Challenge. Everybody was talking about the Pepsi Challenge. So this is the 50th anniversary, and Pepsi is bringing it back and launching it at the Super Bowl by stealing Coca-Cola's polar bear.
The interesting thing about this ad is they used live action and CGI, and they did not use AI at all.
What's the difference between CGI and AI?
The technology.
No, but I mean, is there really any difference between CGI and AI? They're both computer generated. There's this idea in the culture that
Clearly that polar bear is not real. Not trained to do that.
But I think that's what's part of so silly is that this culture has decided AI bad, no good. AI should never use it. Yet CGI, we'll make a bunch of phony graphics with a computer. That's totally fine.
You've got Pepsi. They're also repositioning, saying that this is a cultural moment, not just a Super Bowl moment, and that's one of the reasons why they released the commercial so early.
Pepsi would love it if this would be a cultural moment. I think that's what they're trying to get
pushing
to.
that.
I don't
they
know
want
if
you to think it is.
I don't know if it's there yet. They're trying to tap into that nostalgia. And the previous cultural moment, which was 50 years ago when they first introduced the Pepsi Challenge, it'll be interesting to see how far they get with it in this iteration this time around.
Let's mention the U.S. air traffic control system. It's getting an overhaul. So yesterday was the one-year anniversary of that Black Hawk and American Airlines collision near Reagan National Airport.
Oh, yeah.
67 people were killed in that accident, and it brought attention to the aging U.S. air traffic control system. There are some planned upgrades, and those include communication and radar, 27,000 new radios for air-to-ground communication. They're going to be replacing old copper lines with fiber, satellite, and wireless systems. Also, 612 state-of-the-art radars to replace the outdated units. They want to do that by 2028, and 44 different airports are going to receive new surface radar systems. 200 airports are going to get Surface Awareness Initiative surveillance. It's a lot of big words there, huh?
There was a period of time where I wanted to be an air traffic controller.
Really? Oh gosh, such a high stress job.
Well, I remember
Why?
I remember meeting somebody, and he was an air traffic controller, and I was fascinated by it.
And he was chain smoking cigarettes, guzzling caffeine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? That sounds great.
Stressed out all
sounds
the time.
amazing. But I was fascinated, so I kept peppering him with questions about what it's like to be an air traffic controller and what his job is like on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
And I was fascinated by it because you've really got to be dialed in. Like those people have to
Yeah.
be ultra focused on what's going on, and so they work really intensely for 8 hours a day. And I looked into it more, and it turns out you have to be 31 years or younger to apply for your first job as an air traffic controller.
And you were past that.
And
age.
I was past that age. So my dreams of becoming an air traffic controller crushed because I didn't meet this guy until I was over 31 years old.
Well, if you're interested, the FAA expects to hire about 8,900 new controllers by 2028.
As long as you're 31 years or younger.
Right, 7,000 of them are expected to retire within the same period.
And by the way, the maximum age, they force air traffic controllers into retirement when they hit age 56.
Yeah.
That sounds all. I'd love to retire at 56. This job
Darn.
seemed perfect for me.
Too late for me.
I got cooked.
It is 93 WIBC.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Former CNN anchor taken into custody. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:30.
Can confirm that Don Lemon was arrested in Los Angeles by federal agents just after midnight Los Angeles time at a hotel.
Fox's Bill Malugin reporting Lemon was part of a group that stormed into a church in St. Paul, Minnesota, protesting against ICE operations. It's unclear exactly what Lemon is charged with. Top Minnesota leaders will testify before Congress. Fox's Ryan Schmelz has an update.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison will appear before the House Oversight Committee on March 4th. Chairman James Comer announcing the hearing where Republicans are set to grill Walz and Ellison on allegations of fraud tied to welfare and social services programs in their state. Comer in a statement says Americans deserve answers on the rampant misuse of taxpayer dollars. Walz has vowed to investigate and has accused the federal government of politicizing the investigation. Other Minnesota state lawmakers have already testified before the committee. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
President Trump officially nominating Kevin Warsh to become the new chair of the Federal Reserve. The current Fed chair, Jerome Powell's term, is set to end in May. The president has repeatedly attacked Powell and pressured him to cut interest rates, and the DOJ recently announced a criminal investigation also into Powell. The federal government will partially shut down if a package of funding bills isn't passed by midnight tonight. And U.S. skier Lindsey Vonn having to be airlifted from a course in Switzerland after crashing during a run while preparing for the Olympics. The 41-year-old ski star was seen grabbing her left knee after losing control. She's trying to make an Olympic comeback. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Pacers continue their homestand, taking on the Atlanta Hawks for a Lucas Oil family night.
Intercepted in the lane by Furphy, lobbing it to the goal where it's caught right of the rim and dunked by Huff.
Bring the family for a Saturday night out with the blue and gold. Family night tickets includes a hot dog, chips, Pepsi, and Pacers hat. Don't wait to snag tickets at pacers.com/family.
Siakam on a clear out. He's going to go right at Giddy. Backing in, both feet in the lane, right in front with a finish.
Pacers Hawks, Saturday at 7.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
We set out to be the very best of the best, and past couple years we've actually achieved that. For all of the state of Indiana, we've been awarded the Dealer of the Year award twice now. Unlike other brands, that only gets handed to one dealer every year, and we're very proud to have won that twice.
Put the best to work for you at FamilyHVAC.net. Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth it. If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-659-7540. 800-659-7540. 800-659-7540. That's 800-659-7540.
Weekday mornings at 7:15, the Tony Katz Popcorn Moment. Brought to you by Boer Remodeling. Don't wait any longer for the kitchen you've been dreaming of. Request a consultation at BoerRemodeling.com.
They're trying to make sure that they match a bill that would alter the state's definition of hemp to match the federal definition of hemp. It recently passed the Indiana Senate. It's now going to move to the Indiana House of Representatives. And what are they trying to do also with this bill besides making the definition match on this from the state level to the federal level? They've got some provisions in this bill. It's Senate Bill 250, and they want some restrictions for anybody who is under 21. Anyone under 21 can't enter stores that primarily sell tobacco or THC products, and they also can't purchase hemp-based THC products, and they have to show ID for purchases.
Indiana lawmakers love doing this. They love regulating cannabis-adjacent products, but refusing to touch anything related to the cannabis direct product.
The marijuana.
Yeah, exactly. Despite the fact that we've got either recreational or medical, or both legalized in every state that touches us. Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan. All of those states are generating millions in tax dollars from the sale of real marijuana. Indiana, of course, still not touching that. But some context here. This goes back to what's called Delta 8, and it is similar to THC in the way that normal marijuana reacts, but it's not quite as powerful. And they've kind of found a loophole in the law into where you can go into stores and buy this today. Think of it as pot light.
Right.
Remember, I'm going to age myself here, but way back when, I think in the 70s, in certain states had 2-3 beer. I think that's what it was called, 2-3 beer. And if you were 18 years old, you could drink that. And it was called 2-3, I think, because it had 2/3 of the alcohol of a normal beer. So if you think of that, that's kind of what Delta 8 is like. It's marijuana light, and part of this is creating regulations associated with that.
High THC products are banned currently in Indiana. And speaking of the federal alignment, if marijuana is reclassified federally, the Indiana legislature, not automatic law, would decide whether to follow suit. So they could reclassify it on a federal level, but here in Indiana, it doesn't mean it automatically changes. They would have to readdress that.
Right. So that would be another thing. So, I mean, I guess this is Indiana legislators following Washington's lead on this when they don't have to. I didn't know that there was a huge demand to shut this down. And again, they're sitting here messing around with all of these cannabis-adjacent industries and products, and yet refusing to address the one thing that is very popular by all polling that's been done in the last several years. At the very least, Hoosiers want medical marijuana to be legalized in the state of Indiana.
Louisville is set to open their first medical marijuana dispensary. You had mentioned in Kentucky, it's only medicinal marijuana, and the store is going to open tomorrow. And they say they're providing state compliant, lab tested medical cannabis only for registered patients using a patient guided model.
I'm going to guess that bridge from Indiana to Kentucky right there in Louisville is going to get a lot of action with this store opening. There are going to be a lot of people in southern Indiana
Weird.
crossing
the traffic
that bridge.
started picking up.
It's weird. That's a toll bridge, too, by the way.
It
so
is.
the state is going to make its money off of that.
We have to talk about Caitlin Clark. She's joining the NBC's NBA coverage. She's going to be a special contributor. So she makes her debut on February 1st. It's a Knicks and Lakers game. It's at Madison Square Garden, and this is all part of Sunday Night Basketball.
She's got to find something to do. Poor girl needs a job because the NBA, the WNBA, and their players' union are at odds. Look, there is not going to be a full WNBA season this year. There's no way. They are so far apart in their collective bargaining agreement negotiations. At the very least, there'll be a reduced season for the WNBA this year. Caitlin Clark, she was injured, so she wasn't playing most of last year.
Yeah.
She's just kind of been sitting on her butt for a long time. Good for her, getting out there and getting a job with NBC Sports. And their NBA coverage, fascinating. It's the first time NBC's NBA coverage has ever had a WNBA player as one of their analysts.
So she's doing that on February 1st, and then she'll make an additional appearance on March 29th. That is a Thunder versus Knicks game, and that's taking place in Oklahoma City, of course. Caitlin Clark entering her third season with the Indiana Fever. But how about that tweet the other day?
Yes.
That's kind of interesting. What happened there?
So, just because Caitlin Clark hasn't been playing a lot in the last year doesn't mean that there's still not a lot of controversy around her on social media. So NBC Sports has, obviously social media accounts, and they created a post and put it on Twitter and Instagram, and it basically was promoting the fact that they've come to this agreement with Caitlin Clark for her to be an NBA analyst during NBC's NBA coverage. The comments on that social media post just delved into all of the nastiness and infighting that has surrounded Caitlin Clark since she came into the league. So the NBC Sports ended up deleting that social media post.
They became delete tweet guy.
They became delete tweet and delete Instagram guy just because I don't know why.
The comments got out of control.
The comments got out of control. There was a lot of meanness and nastiness and viciousness going on, and I guess NBC just figured, you know what, forget it. Let's just delete this tweet entirely, which, of course, whenever you do that, stirs up a whole new round of controversy and people, pearl clutching over the concept of NBC Sports deleting a tweet about Caitlin Clark.
And we turn our attention from basketball to skiing. There's been some news this morning.
Yeah, this is
Lindsey
breaking
Vonn.
news. Yeah, Lindsey Vonn, who is an American skier and one of the great female skiers in our country's history, was skiing downhill in Europe. It was the World Championships, the World Cup downhill race, and she had a horrific accident, had to be airlifted away from the scene. And this actually, she was planning on skiing in the 2026 Olympics coming up here in just a few weeks, but she has not since qualified. She was using this World Cup downhill race to try and qualify for the Olympics in just a couple of weeks. So I think her ability to ski at the Olympics is now in question.
Well, she was slated to compete in the women's downhill, the Super G, and also some team combined events. And there were actually two other competitors who were also injured on the same course. They said that the course was really difficult, and Lindsey Vonn apparently grabbed her left knee. She grimaced in pain, and as you mentioned, she was airlifted to the hospital for evaluation.
Yeah, and this isn't the first skiing accident and injury she's had. She's had several nasty ones over her career, and in fact, I remember seeing some photographs that she posted on social media after the last one, which was probably 7 or 8 years ago now, and showing the scar on her leg over her knee. This scar had to be like 1.5 feet long and just gnarly and nasty. So unfortunately suffering another pretty serious injury, it looks like, here for Lindsey Vonn. But beyond this, she's just a badass. Her first Olympics, she was 17 years old in the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City.
Wow. She's been doing this for a long time.
That's how long she's been doing this. She won a gold medal in 2010 in Vancouver, and certainly has been the face of women's skiing for the United States for a long time. Also, interestingly enough, one of Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriends.
That's true.
Although Tiger Woods has had a lot of ex-girlfriends, so if you're female in this country, there's probably like a 10% chance that you've dated Tiger
had a
Woods.
relationship
So
with Tiger Woods.
she fell into that 10%
She's
chance.
kept that competitive spirit for a long time. It's interesting to note how you managed to maintain that after such a long career.
She's 41,
right?
And she's still a top athlete and trying to compete. I mean, she's been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. She's been one of our top female skiers in this country for a long, long time now. She's going all the way back to 2002. So hopefully the injuries aren't as serious as what they kind of looked like in some of the images that we've seen so far. But Lindsey Vonn, nasty accident this morning and had to be airlifted off the hill.
Well, in more skiing news, we've got Nick Goper, freestyle skiing standout from Lawrenceburg, Indiana. He's going to be competing in his 4th consecutive Winter Olympics. He became the first U.S. skier to medal in 4 different Winter Olympics.
Does it seem like this year's Winter Olympics are kind of sneaking up on everybody?
Yeah,
like,
a little.
I totally forgot that they were
happening.
That they were happening. And I'm an Olympic guy.
What does that say? Are the Olympics kind of falling out of favor?
No, I think there's just a lot going on in the world right now. We bombed Iran. We captured the Venezuelan president. There's situations going. When Donald Trump's president, there's really
protests.
It's really
fraud.
With Donald Trump's president, it's difficult for anything else to break into the news cycle.
It's a lot. It's rapid fire news.
It
every
is
single day,
and that's by design by Donald Trump. So I think that's probably why the Olympics kind of snuck up on me this year, and that's despite the fact that I'm a huge Olympics guy. Summer Olympics, Winter Olympics, whenever they're on, I'm locked in for 2 weeks and consuming as much of it as I possibly can.
You're listening to 93 WIBC.
Coming up on the Hammer and Nigel show, finally, it's Friday, which means it's Beer Sample Friday, plus some arguments, top stories of the day. All the fun starts 3 o'clock, 93 WIBC. You're tired of your house being uncomfortably cold and paying those high electric and oil bills to keep the heat on is shockingly expensive this time of year. You'd love to have new windows, but you don't want to pay a fortune for them. Well, January is a great time of year to replace your windows thanks to Window Nation. Over the last 20 years, they've installed over 3 million energy-efficient windows and helped tens of thousands of homeowners keep their homes comfy and cozy year-round while also saving them money on monthly utility bills thanks to new windows.
And right now, they're more affordable during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 Windows for Free sale. So it's a great time to replace all the windows in your home. Plus, you could get them with 0 down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. If you're feeling cold drafts from your windows, it's time for new windows. Save big with Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 sale going on right now. Visit windownation.com to get started.
Hi, it's T. Brian Hayes here from the Retirement Money Matters Show. In today's rapidly changing, uncertain, and volatile financial world, setting up and maintaining a successful retirement plan has never been more important. To accomplish this, you will have to make some updated and strategic planning moves. Join me this weekend on the Retirement Money Matters Show to learn about several key moves you may very well need to make right away. The Retirement Money Matters Show airs this Saturday morning at 6 a.m. right here on WIBC.
Serving Indiana means being ready for growing energy demands. At Duke Energy, we're adding more power to the grid and working on hundreds of local projects to make your energy more reliable. We've strengthened nearly 20,000 poles, updated more than 270 substations, and prevented hundreds of thousands of outage hours with self-healing grid technology, so your power can come back on faster than ever. That's the smarter energy future Indiana deserves. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-983-2077 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-983-2077. That's 800-983-2077. What do you have to lose? Call 800-983-2077. Again, 800-983-2077.
Get ready for an unforgettable night. Train hits the stage with Bare Naked Ladies and Matt Nathanson on Saturday, August 1st at Ruoff Music Center. Celebrate over 25 years of hits and sing along to all your favorites. More information at WIBC.com.
Have you ever talked your way past security and gotten into some place that you really weren't supposed to be?
You are the queen of doing this. You are the queen at going up to whoever is watching the door or guarding the gate and being able to talk your way right through it.
I just smile nicely, right?
It's more than that. Like, this is a known trait for you, and you've been doing this since the 30+ years that I've known you, that you have this uncanny ability to just put off this air of presence like, oh, I belong here. Of course I belong here. I'm just going to go walk. I'm just going to go walk right past this security guard, walk right past this person that's supposed to keep the riffraff out, like us.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you've got this incredible access.
Yeah, but it wasn't. The intent is never nefarious. It's just to get a little closer to the action.
Well, we're not
a better seat.
We're not doing.
We're talking concerts.
We're not doing it to commit a felony.
Baseball games, right?
Yeah,
there's a little bit of difference.
We went to a Major League Baseball game, and it was early in the game, and you just walked right past that usher that was guarding the lower box seats, and we sat in like the second row right behind the dugout for the rest of the whole game.
Yeah, and nobody said anything, so clearly the ticket holders weren't showing up. I was just trying to fill the seats. I was being a good
You were
fan.
in a public service. That's what you were doing.
I was being a good fan.
No, but there's others.
It worked out for us.
But I mean, there are a laundry list of examples of this. The very first Indy 500 that we ever went to, all of a sudden, race day, you and I end up in the pits somehow. We have no access there. We didn't know anything about the Indy 500.
We met somebody the night before who had access.
That's similar. Same boat.
We struck up a conversation, and he was just being friendly.
Sharing his access with
Right.
us.
He was like, hey, let's get you in the pits so you can really have some fun on your first Indy 500 experience.
And then he found out you were married. He's like, oh, shit. Oh,
no.
man, this stinks. What?
That's
Well, I
annoying.
already gave her the access. I guess I'm hooked up to it now, even though she's taken.
So this guy, he was allegedly posing as an FBI agent, and this in an attempt to free Luigi Mangione from Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center in New York. See, now the things that I did, again, nothing nefarious. I wasn't trying to break someone out of jail.
No, of course not. No, it was all, I wouldn't even say it's necessarily immoral. Certainly not illegal.
This guy, he told the jail staff that he had paperwork signed by a judge authorizing the release. However, he failed to show the proper credentials and instead just showed his Minnesota driver's license. He threw the documents at officers. He claimed to be carrying weapons. At the end of the day, what officers found was a barbecue fork and a circular steel blade, which kind of looked like a pizza cutter.
You mean like a jailhouse knife to be able to saw the bars off and get it in and escape from prison?
No joking matter for this guy, because now he's being charged with impersonating a federal agent, which is a felony offense.
This is the most absurd story I've seen in a long time. It feels like some rejected script from a low-budget crime drama. A Minnesota man allegedly walking into a New York federal jail with nothing but a driver's license and a boatload of confidence. Of course I belong here. Yeah, no, I'm here to get Luigi Mangione, just one of the most famous alleged murderers of the modern time. I'm just here to pick him up. Nothing to see here.
Okay, now there's no indication that Mangione was even involved in this. Like, he didn't even know the guy. Just some rando coming in to break him out of jail.
This guy walks in to a federal prison, which are essentially fortresses, like he was picking up his DoorDash order.
Now, keep in mind, it didn't result in any jail disruptions. He didn't get anywhere close enough. There was no release of any inmates. Luigi Mangione still awaiting trial in state and federal court for that 24 fatal shooting of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. He didn't plead guilty to any of the charges, by the way.
This story
Luigi Mangione.
This story is from NBC News. The guy didn't even bother to mock up a fake FBI badge. He just literally flashed his Minnesota driver's license and expected officers to be like, "Oh yeah, that looks like FBI credentials.
That looks legit.
Right this way, sir."
Right. Let me show you right in. No, don't do that. That's not going to work. And in fact, just like that guy, it's going to get you in a whole lot of trouble. There's supposed to be a huge storm on the East Coast. They're calling
Again?
Again. They're calling it a bomb cyclone.
Sounds bad.
It's going to hit a lot of New England, but also Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, the Mid-Atlantic, and parts of Maryland as well.
Yeah,
and D.C.
We've been really fortunate here in central Indiana, and I know we had 9 inches of snow or so last weekend, but it's the communities that are farther south from us. Lots of stories coming out of Memphis and Nashville and Knoxville and North Carolina and South Carolina, where they had all that ice. And what the ice does is, obviously, it makes it difficult to drive, but it clings to those power lines and tree branches, and they collapse under their own weight. So there's been a lot of reporting that's come out, people in the Nashville and the other parts of Tennessee and the Carolinas that have been without power for days and days now. And now they're going to get another nasty winter storm on top of that this weekend.
So there's parts of the country they can expect gale to near hurricane force winds along the coast. And keep in mind, they also have high tides that they're going to have to deal with. So if you're expecting to travel in that direction, I would maybe think about redirecting, because there's going to be some airports that will be shut down.
Yeah, tons of airports were shut down last weekend. That's going to be the case again. Can you imagine if, because there are some people that have been stranded this entire time. They haven't been able to get a recurring flight. And just when you think, all right, this week we're getting out of town this weekend, this is going to be it. And now another bomb cyclone coming, and it's going to be a disaster and awful. Fortunately, we are not expected to see any of that here in central Indiana.
So you've got Melania Trump's documentary being released today in theaters. They had the big red carpet event last night, and I came across this article, The Best First Ladies in Movie and Television History. Now, you've got Nancy Reagan, who was an actual actress before Ronald Reagan went into office.
Yep.
And you've got this documentary from Melania Trump. As far as I can tell, those are the only two first ladies who have ever been in a movie, real first ladies.
Oh, that have actually been in a feature film. Playing themselves.
Playing themselves.
Okay.
But you have this list here of first ladies played by actresses. They say Edie Falco played Hillary Clinton in The Impeachment, American Crime Story.
How was that? Did you enjoy that movie?
I did not see that.
Yeah, me either.
You've got somebody who played Michelle Obama in South Side with You. Didn't see that.
How about that one? No, yeah, missed that one too.
Laura Linney as Abigail Adams in the John Adams movie. That one I actually saw.
The only one out of this entire list that I saw was that movie W that came out about George W. Bush, and Elizabeth Banks played Laura Bush in that one. But out of this entire list, that's the only of these movies I saw.
What about Sally Field as Mary Todd Lincoln in Lincoln?
I didn't see that movie either.
You didn't see that one? By the way, this list, it came from AARP.org. Ouch.
Well, congratulations on your subscription to AARP. I'm glad that that's working out and paying dividends for you.
That was fed into my email. Thanks. It is 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel here for Premier Weight Loss Indy, PWLindy.com, 2 different locations. And look, everybody is somewhere different in their health journey. People aren't the same, and treatments should not be the same. This is why I love Premier Weight Loss Indy. It's an in-person visit. You're going to get a consultation with a professional, and they will customize a plan specifically for you. Again, no plans are the same because people are not the same. So if you really want to take your health to the next level this year, start by going online to PWLindy.com. I lost a bunch of weight of my own. but then I hit a plateau and I couldn't lose anymore. I reached out for help. Premier Weight Loss Indy jumped in the mix, and now I'm down 16 additional pounds in 2 months. PWLindy.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you. Take care of your health.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally, family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
As proud sports medicine partners of the Indianapolis Indians, Butler University, Purdue University, and the Indiana Sports Corporation, Franciscan Health is here to keep our community moving. Whether you're a weekend warrior or high school champ, we offer injury evaluations, concussion testing, and personalized recovery plans to help you get back out there. Because when you love the game, we love getting you back in it. Call 317-781-1133 or visit franciscanhealth.org/sportsmedindy.
Furnace on the fritz? Call Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. Get an honest assessment on your current furnace or a great deal on a new one. Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing, where coming home never felt so good.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
At Advent, nasal congestion and sinus infections can be solved with an in-office 20-minute procedure. Elsewhere, expect surgery.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash, with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Dugan Air Heating and Cooling Mitsubishi Electric Studios, when the warmest of temperatures are coming to the state, could we eclipse 20 this weekend? Why Indiana Senator Jim Banks is speaking out about ICE operations, and a few of the notable bills making it out of the Senate side of the State House this week. Those stories and more coming up after Fox News. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Luigi Mangioni's life has just been spared. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The death penalty is now off the table
after a federal judge's ruling a short time ago ahead of a hearing starting now in New York City, where Mangioni is charged in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in late 2024, shooting him outside a hotel.
The judge has agreed with Mangioni's defense team to throw out the most serious charge against him of murder through use of a firearm and another firearms weapons charge.
Fox's Nate Foy also reports from outside the court.
The judge denied Mangioni's defense team's request to suppress some of the evidence.
Mangioni is still charged with murder in state court, but New York doesn't allow the death penalty. A former CNN anchor is behind bars in California.
Don Lemon was arrested in Los Angeles by federal agents just after midnight Los Angeles time at a hotel.
Fox's Bill Malugin. Lemon was with anti-ICE protesters earlier this month when they interrupted a church service in St. Paul, Minnesota. 3 others had already been arrested, facing federal charges. Don Lemon's attorney calls the journalist's arrest an attack on the First Amendment. We appear to be just 13 hours away from another government shutdown. A partial one this time, unlike the one in the fall, because Democrats refuse to fund Homeland Security in a larger spending bill unless there's ICE reform. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries tells Fox.
Taxpayer dollars should not be used to brutalize or kill American citizens or to violently target law-abiding immigrant families.
There is a Senate compromise in the works to fund DHS only 2 weeks and the rest of the government through September. Fox's Ryan Schmelz is at the Capitol.
President Trump is encouraging Republicans to vote yes, but the deal still faces several hurdles. It still needs 60 votes in the Senate to break a filibuster and has to pass the House next week, meaning the government will be shut down for at least the weekend.
President Trump sending a new nominee to the Senate, wanting Kevin Warsh to be the Federal Reserve Chairman to replace Jerome Powell, whose term's up in May. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Just a little bit of relief. Skies are sunny. It's currently 11 in Indy with a high around 17 for today. Cold temperatures and wind chills will return again tonight. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Central Indiana still locked into a long stretch of cold weather, and we have not even been in the 30s for a couple of days. The National Weather Service says that should slowly change as we head into the weekend and early next week.
Hopefully, when we look at the late weekend coming up, we will climb in the Indianapolis area at least into the low to mid-20s. You're asking about 30s. I think Monday we will be nearing 30. Monday we'll say upper 20s in Indianapolis.
Forecaster Alex McGinnis says we could see light to moderate snow sometime Tuesday as the system moves through the Midwest, but that is not shaping up to be anything major. Threats against ICE officers are getting out of control. That's part of what Indiana Republican Senator Jim Banks said to WIBC's Hammer and Nigel on Thursday.
1,150% increase in violence against ICE officers, and that's directly related to the anti-ICE rhetoric of these radical Democrats.
He says there's an 8,000% increase of death threats against these ICE officers in the last few months. A lot of movement with bills this week at the Indiana State House. One that the Senate approved says students at all public universities and K-12 schools in Indiana would have to use the bathroom that aligns with their birth sex. The bill was written by Fort Wayne Senator Liz Brown. She says just because you decide that you identify as a man doesn't mean you should be able to go into a woman's space. Another bill making it out of the Senate and heading to the House would ban hemp-based THC products for people under the age of 21. Senate Bill 250 also alters the state's definition of hemp. Senator Aaron Freeman believes this bill would clear up some loopholes and better protect Hoosier kids.
Anything above 0.3, so total THC, which right now we don't have any idea. You walk in any gas station in Indiana and nobody can tell you, and there's no Wizard of Oz behind the curtain checking that stuff. And I would hope we could all agree that we need to know.
SB 250 also says that if the federal government were to reclassify marijuana, the Indiana General Assembly would get a chance to vote on whether they follow that change. Notre Dame football is making another defensive coaching change this offseason. Here's Lynn Clark.
Linebackers coach Al Washington is leaving Notre Dame to join the Miami Dolphins. Washington was promoted earlier this month after serving as Notre Dame's defensive line coach and will now make the jump to the NFL. The move follows another recent departure with defensive backs coach Mike Mickens leaving for the Baltimore Ravens. Notre Dame now turns its attention to filling yet another key defensive position with the start of spring practice just a few weeks away. Len Clark, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And the Indiana Pacers are hosting Atlanta on Saturday. Tomorrow at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, forward Pascal Siakam says he's been okay with playing more center lately.
Well, I think it just gives us a different look. Obviously, we have some fives, and they give us a different look. But I actually like it. Being out there, guarding the fives, trying to post me up, do all those different things.
The Pacers have won 2 of their last 3. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com.
This is Chuck Lofton, here to talk to you about my friends at Exercise Inc. Exercise Inc. is the 20-minute, once-a-week workout program that will change your life. My wife Mary and I have been clients for 6 years. The program has worked well with my busy schedule. I was getting cardio, but I started the program because I understood the importance of strength training to overall health. It's helped me with managing my blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar. The biggest help? My sluggish feeling was replaced with much-needed energy. It's designed to help clients get stronger in a shorter period of time. The studios are private, just you and your coach working to reach your goals. Exercise Inc. has 5 locations: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now Fishers. So take it from me, Chuck Lofton. Improve the forecast for your health. Go to exerciseinc.com today to request a free consultation.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Donald Trump has warned Iran time is running out for a nuclear deal. This as there is U.S. military buildup in the Gulf. Iran responded by saying they refuse direct talks with the U.S. unless President Trump stops issuing threats. The foreign minister of Iran said that talks must be fair and equitable and cannot start with threats. Iran said they're ready for negotiations and also warfare if necessary.
Yeah, I don't know how ready Iran is going to be for warfare. I mean, Israel and the United States pretty much took out a vast majority of their air defense systems and other military capability not too long ago. But this is part of, it's interesting. Donald Trump gets a lot of criticism for the way he handles things on the world stage and his geopolitical outlook on certain items. But I guarantee you that the mullahs and the leaders in Iran are thinking a lot about what happened with President Maduro in Venezuela just a few short weeks ago. And so that is what, the benefits that the United States and Trump gets from that taking of Maduro in Venezuela is going to translate to other geopolitical aspects of it. There was talk, 2 weeks ago when there were a lot of, uprisings that were happening in Iran, a lot of violence taking place there, that maybe that was the right time for the United States to strike Iran. But we really didn't have the forces that we needed in the Middle East at the time. That's changed now. Trump has sent the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln. It is now in the Persian Gulf, along with its entire strike group. Because remember, when American aircraft carriers go somewhere, they don't go anywhere by themselves. They go along with destroyers and submarines and all sorts of other gunboats and ships that are part of it. So the U.S. now has the firepower in Iran. It'll be the big question is if Donald Trump wants to pull the trigger or not.
This is the U.S. position. President Trump has threatened military action to halt Iran's nuclear program, also limit its ballistic missile capabilities, and also end support to regional militias. And officials, they say they are considering options for an attack, but no final decision has been made. You've got countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and Turkey. They are urging the U.S. to reconsider military action, and also they are urging Iran to engage in negotiations. Here is the Secretary of Defense. Actually, it's the Secretary of War now, Pete Hegseth. He said the Pentagon is ensuring Iran, what's going on there, they've got all the options to make a deal.
When President Trump said, we're not getting a nuclear, Iran, you won't have a nuclear bomb, he meant it. And we sent those B-2s halfway around the world, and they never noticed. When he said, we're not going to tolerate trafficking drugs anymore in our hemisphere, we treat them like the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere. He meant it, and we're executing that. When you said, Mr. President, we're securing the border, the military was proud to do their part alongside Homeland Security to do that. Same thing with Iran right now, ensuring that they have all the options to make a deal. They should not pursue nuclear capabilities. We will be prepared to deliver whatever this president expects of the War Department.
He's ready to go. Of course, military action there will spark regional instability.
It sure will, but I mean, this is, again, one of the benefits of what Donald Trump and Israel did, last year by sending those B-2 bombers to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities. And again, capturing Maduro in Venezuela in such a dramatic fashion as he did. That is going to, look, the fact of the matter is...
With the discombobulator.
With the discombobulator, which is the worst name for any piece of military equipment ever invented. But this has got to have the leaders of Iran kind of checking themselves, because so much about foreign policy and bluster is about bluster. I mean, people thought, President Putin from Russia thought that he could take over Ukraine in a couple of days, and now it's been 4 years. Nobody's really scared of Russia right now. But people are scared of the United States based on a couple of things: the military actions that have taken place recently, and the fact that Donald Trump is so unpredictable, and that certainly gives us a huge leg up when it comes to these negotiations with Iran.
He does use that to his advantage to scare people.
Absolutely. You have no idea what Donald Trump was going to do. He was talking about invading Greenland 3 weeks ago. Now, that didn't happen, and he ended up getting what he wanted anyway. But it's so difficult to know what Donald Trump is being blustery about and just for negotiations, and what he might really end up doing.
There was a national survey, and this was done on U.S. sports, youth sports, and their coaches. ESPN put the survey out, and they say that most coaches feel burned out and they're frustrated. And the reason why is mainly due to verbal harassment from parents. Parents are cited for creating tension, distrust, and sometimes even abuse. And sometimes it's worse for the athletes themselves. Other reasons for leaving youth sports include retirement and also internal organization challenges. So we heard stories going back a few years ago how there were no umpires for youth sport baseball.
Right, a big shortage for all sorts of referees and umpires in youth sports because they just didn't want to do it anymore. These guys are getting paid, $30 or $40 a game to ref or umpire a youth sports event, and They spend the entire time just getting verbally abused from parents on the sidelines. And we witnessed that. Our daughter played youth sports her entire childhood when she was 5 until she was 18 years old. We were very involved with it. Multiple sports, travel sports, winter sports, summer sports. We were there. And the worst part about it was the parents. Easily.
From the other team.
The parents from the other team, right. I mean, just sit on a sideline. I dare you to go to any soccer field in central Indiana in the summertime on a weekend and just go stand on the sidelines. You'd be shocked to hear the things that come out of these parents' mouth on the sidelines of youth sporting events.
Female coaches say that they are nearly 4 times more likely to hear another coach make sexual comments, not only to them, but also to athletes.
We've heard it all. None of this is a surprise to us because we lived that life for 15 years, and it is every bit as awful as this article spells out for us.
Okay, so we've also got news on the government shutdown. The funding deadline, it's coming up at midnight.
Midnight tonight. So
Senate Democrats, they say they reached a deal with the White House, and that was to separate DHS funding from the package of 5 other bills. Of course, you've got Lindsey Graham, the biggest cootie I've ever seen. He objected to the deal. He said it was a bad deal. He was really concerned about ICE officers' treatment and removal of phone records with this lawsuit provision, and he says that will affect him and 6 of his other GOP senators.
Now, they have passed a lot of partial funding, so this isn't going to be a shutdown like the last time that we saw at the end of 2025 where almost the entire federal government was shut down. They've passed a lot of funding. They're kind of hung up on these last pieces. One of the big ones is funding for Department of Homeland Security, which is the overarching department that oversees ICE, and of course, Democrats don't want anything to do with that, and they're threatening to not fund anything associated with DHS and that entire division there. But this is just the Senate we're talking about. The House isn't even in town until Monday.
Correct. The Senate is supposed to, well, they're probably reconvening right now. They're going back into session, but you're right. The House, they're currently in recess until Monday.
So even if the Senate passes something before midnight tonight, we are going to see a partial government shutdown. The House is going to come back to work next week, and maybe they'll get it sorted out. Maybe they won't. But funding for Department of Homeland Security, which includes ICE, is the big hang-up in this potential government shutdown. But it's what Congress loves to do. It's like their favorite weekend hobby, playing chicken with a government shutdown. Will we, won't we? I don't know. Tune in tonight. You'll find out.
Good thing it's not happening on Tuesday, which is Groundhog's Day. You just repeat it over and over and over again.
Hey, I'm all for another government shutdown. Let's see if we can break the record from last time. What did we get to? 42 days? 45 days? 45 days. That's the new all-time record. Let's see if we can do it in 2026.
Well, they're arguing about DHS funding. Keep in mind, they already got a boatload of money with the big, beautiful bill.
Oh.
So it's not like they'll have zero funding at all. They already have like $87 billion.
This is for additional DHS funding.
Correct.
On top of what they did during the big, beautiful bill.
More. Always needing more.
And the reason this keeps getting hung up, because I've heard some people saying, well, the Republicans have control of the House and the Senate and the president. What's the problem here? Why can't they pass this? It's because of the filibuster. You need 60 in the Senate to be able to move the conversation along, and the Republicans don't have 60 in the Senate, so the Democrats are holding things up.
Here in Indiana, the House has advanced a National Guard military police bill, and what this does, it authorizes the governor to deploy a specialized National Guard military police force anywhere in Indiana. The big thing for this is that it would grant members of this organization arrest powers.
Yeah,
something the National Guard currently does not have.
Yeah, we talked about this when Nikki Kelly was on the show a couple days ago, and that was really my big question is, okay, well, the governor already controls the National Guard, can deploy them if they want. They already have this division within the Indiana National Guard that focuses on policing. What's the big difference? And it is that expanded, essentially, arrest powers. Because right now, if the National Guard were to be out protecting something and somebody were to get unruly or commit a crime in front of them, the only thing they can do is detain them, and then they have to wait for local law enforcement to come there and actually make the arrest.
So what it is, it's a reclassification.
It's a little bit of a reclassification, but it also is going to provide some specific training on policing. Because you got to remember, and this is true with the National Guard and what Donald Trump has done too, they're war fighters. They're designed to fight wars and provide logistics and support for wars. There's not a whole lot of training in those organizations for policing powers, which are specifically different skill sets. We've heard a lot of talk about how they're rushing all of these ICE agents out into the field. They're not being trained properly. So I think this is just the legislature and Braun saying, okay, look, we want to be ready in case this is needed in the future. How can we improve things? National Guard needs those additional policing powers to be able to do things right.
Some of the things that they would also be able to do besides make arrests is conduct searches and seizures, carry firearms, and exercise other police powers. The governor can deploy for war, disasters, or any circumstance he deems necessary. Critics are saying this is going to be an overreach. This will offer way too much gubernatorial power to Mike Braun. So why is this bill going through? Is it in advance of something that could potentially be happening in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I mean, you could speculate about this and say, well, if Donald Trump ever wants to use the National Guard in Indianapolis, if he deems that to be necessary, this would fix a lot of the problems that the National Guard in other cities has run into, because in a lot of those states, they don't have these policing powers. So again, the National Guard is really a lot of times just a show of force. Now, that can work a lot of times, but when protesters or other people commit crimes in front of the National Guard, this is just going to give them additional powers. It seems to make a lot of sense, especially because they're including that extra police training as part of this.
The House voted 67-29 in favor, and now it moves to the Indiana Senate for consideration. You're listening to 93 WIBC.
Come and go. Big Ten wins, you earn those.
Norton in the corner. Bingo!
Big Ten basketball means tougher defenses, louder buildings, and zero margin for error. Coach Darren DeVries has the Hoosiers ready for the work.
Our mindset has to be, regardless of shots falling, our defense has to keep us in the game.
Up next, IU versus UCLA. Saturday at 5. No fluff, no filler. Hoosier basketball on 93 WIBC.
A new year means great new lease deals from Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Lease a 2025 Accord Hybrid Sport for $279 a month or a 2026 CR-V LX all-wheel drive for just $269 a month. Your choice for only $4,999 down. Make the most of the new year at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Tax not included with approved credit through Honda Financial. In-stock new Hondas only, not combinable with other offers. $10K a year, all fees, taxes, and first payment due at signing. Lease offers require qualifications for Honda loyalty. Offer ends January 31st, 2026. See dealer for details.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. But most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
My grades were bad. I would get D's and C's.
I appeared to be doing good at my school life, but if you would see me at home, it would have been a completely different story.
I mean, it was just rough focusing on school when your mother is somebody you have to take care of.
It got worse and worse and worse throughout the years.
There are students who need somebody.
They can trust someone, and it could be the first person they've ever trusted in their life.
Communities in Schools is lowering America's dropout rate by helping more than 1.3 million kids every year get whatever they need to succeed in school.
If something was going on at home, we would go just stop by Miss Liberty's office and talk to her.
Communities and schools vouched for me when everyone else had lost hope.
You can help change the picture of education right here in your community and across the nation. Visit communitiesandschools.org.
I hear people say we can't save every kid, but I think that we can.
Hi, I'm Michael from the Warren Treaty. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. Only Novo Nordisk makes FDA-approved Ozempic. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5 milligram, 1 milligram, and 2 milligrams.
Book your custom patio project before March 1st and save up to $2,500. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care.
You're just like kicked back, having a conversation with me off the air. And I look at you and say, we're on.
I don't even work here, all right? You got to cut me a little bit of slack on these things.
This is totally true. You don't work here. You've got a different business. And your business, it can be found at CGC_SI on Twitter if you'd like to know what Jim actually does for a living. And one of the things, this next story is right up your alley.
Yeah?
Magically, it showed up on the template that way. This man was convicted of selling fake Michael Jordan and Pokemon trading cards.
Yeah, this is always a problem with any sort of memorabilia, but sports memorabilia, and that's the potential for counterfeit. And this along these lines, there was a massive story here in the summer of 2025. There was a Westfield resident. His name was Brett Lemieux, and there was an Indiana police undercover sting on his business, and he was allegedly found to have sold over a 20-year time period, sold millions of dollars worth of fake autographed memorabilia, including jerseys, photos, over this period of time. And sad story on this. The man, unfortunately, took his own life after the charges were brought against him. But this story recently about these fake Michael Jordan and Pokemon cards, kind of in line with that. It is kind of, there's a shady aspect to collectibles and especially sports memorabilia because there is so much phony and counterfeit product out there in that line. They're fairly easy to counterfeit. If you're looking to get into this, my suggestion would be there are companies, third-party companies, that authenticate and grade these materials. So if you want to kind of, including autographs and all that sort of stuff, not just sports cards, but they'll authenticate autographs. If you're looking to buy something for somebody, especially if you're getting a gift or you're looking to get into that hobby, I'd stick with the items that have already been authenticated and graded by the third party so that you know they're real and you don't get duped by somebody, because it happens every day in that hobby.
What this guy did is he was forging PSA grades, and PSA stands for Professional Sports Authenticator, just as you were talking about. And he was trying to make low-value cards seem more valuable. So what he would do is he would remove the PSA labels and the serial numbers from lower graded cards, and then he would upgrade them. So when things get graded, they come in maybe at like a 5.5 or a 6 point or a 7 point. And he was removing that and replacing it with fake 9 and 10 labels to make it seem like they were in better condition than what they were.
Yeah, and there are ways that you can, keep that from happening if you're looking to make those purchases. All of those items are encased in plastic, and they're all given a serial number, so it's always a good idea to kind of go to the grading company's website and check that serial number. But this is big business. I mean, that guy in Westfield, it was tens of millions of dollars of fake memorabilia that he sold over a 20-year period, allegedly. And some of these things, I mean, you reported on this show last year, the all-time record-breaking price for any sports card happened in 2025. It was a Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant sports card that sold for over $12 million. Fascinating enough, it was bought by Kevin Leary, who is famous from the
Mr.
world
Wonderful.
of Shark Tank, and he and a conglomerate paid over $12 million for that. So there's real money out there in this, and it is always buyer beware, unfortunately.
This guy did this between 2022 and 2024, and the total losses for the victims were more than $2 million. Now, this sounds okay, it's trading cards, that's a hobby, great. No, this guy's in real trouble. He is being convicted of wire fraud and also conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and he's facing up to 20 years in prison per count.
And what's interesting about this is it was not only Michael Jordan cards, but also Pokemon cards. That has completely changed the way the hobby has gone as far as trading cards. Pokemon cards are the fastest growing segment and collectible out there.
It seems like a childish thing.
But
is it really grown men who are collecting Pokemon cards?
Yes,
Yeah.
and paying millions of dollars for Pokemon cards, just like some people pay millions of dollars for sports cards. But again, you talked about how it's a childhood thing. This is all driven by nostalgia. So Pokemon was big in the 90s, and kids bought the trading cards and played with them. And now those kids that were 10 or 15 years old in the 90s
They've got
are
some income.
40 years old, maybe 50 years old, and they've got the disposable income to relive their childhood and tap into that nostalgia by spending big money for these Pokemon cards.
There was an overturned semi-truck in Wisconsin, and oh boy, it was carrying beer. And because of that accident, 264 beer kegs were littering the highway. Yeah, it did some damage. One person actually had to go to the hospital with some minor injuries. The cleanup lasted over 6 hours, and all of the kegs of beer, they were transferred back on a second semi-truck back to the provider.
And most of
they never made it to their destination.
Well, most of the time when this happens, they have to scrap all that product, especially if it's a food product. So my guess is in this instance, whatever the beer producer was, it's going back to their warehouse, and they're all going to have to be destroyed because they're considered tamper with. I've got what could be an unpopular opinion. Hear me out on this.
Okay.
Because we hear these stories about trailer trucks overturning and spilling their wares onto the highway. I think, and this is good for two reasons, I think that if you're a driver on that highway and you see spilled cargo from a big tractor trailer all over the highway, it's finders keepers.
Yeah, possession.
In this example right here, if you go up and you see a keg of beer lying on the driveway or on the highway because it was spilled by a truck, you get to grab that if you want, put it in your trunk, and take it home. You get the added benefit that it would assist with the cleanup process.
What you're going to
I don't know who would be against this. Everybody wins in this situation. It's finders keepers.
What you're going to have there is people intentionally running into trucks, though, trying to get the product.
We'll deal with them as they come about. They're breaking the law.
I'm just poking a hole in your idea.
We'll let that process pay out. But if a big tractor trailer overturns on a highway, spills its goods all over the highway, and you're right there, I think it should be finders keepers. You get to take that home with you.
The kegs of beer were New Glarus beer. Glarus?
Not familiar with that brand.
Glarus. I've never heard of them either, but it was 40,000 pounds of beer.
200 and some kegs. I would guess that this is probably a specialty beer, so it's probably a little bit more expensive. You could be looking at probably about $100 a keg in retail cost that company is going to have to eat. And what did you say? It was 240?
264.
264 if they were 100 each. Quick math on my phone. That's $25,000 worth of beer.
Yeah, that's an expensive accident.
That's an expensive
Not
accident.
to mention the damage to the truck and the other cars that were involved. It is 93 WIBC.
It's a new year. Ready for a fresh start or career reboot? At My Computer Career, prep for a more recession-resistant future in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, in months, not years, including AI. Whether you're starting out or switching careers, no prior training is needed. Attend school online from home or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu to take the free career evaluation today. mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Ben Franklin here to talk to you about your water heater. A water heater is a vital part of your home's plumbing. When it doesn't work, it can really freeze up your routine. Call the pros at Benjamin Franklin Plumbing about water heater options for your home. Visit BenjaminFranklinPlumbing.com or call 877-BEN-1776 to request an appointment. Call for details. Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
My brother never checks on Dad. Or my sister won't make time to take Mom to the doctor. Are these things you've heard yourself say? This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. I have a caregiving tip for you. Stay tuned.
Cardon & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Visit cardon.us to find a community near you.
Expressing anger or resentment toward unsupportive siblings can cause unmendable rifts in relationships. Don't try to control everyone else. You can only control yourself. The success of your caregiving journey does not rest on others. So enjoy the time with your loved one. This is your special time with them. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joyce House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access the library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Nearing a record for the city. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending this hour. The city of Indianapolis is approaching its record for the most hours in a row with highs at or below 20 degrees.
That record is 307 hours, and that is for the 12-day period that spanned the last 6 days of 2017 and the first 6 days of 2018, where Indianapolis did not exceed 20 degrees.
Forecaster Alex McGinnis with the National Weather Service says if temperatures stay at 20 or colder through Sunday, that would set a new record. A former Indianapolis police officer is convicted of multiple sex crimes involving a child in Hendricks County. Kamal Bola, a 6-year veteran of IMPD, was found guilty of nearly all of the charges he faced and will be sentenced next month. FEMA is approving over $4 million in federal grants to support the state after severe storms, tornadoes, and flooding in 2025. And lots of basketball to look forward to this weekend. Purdue and IU are both on the road. The Pacers host the Hawks on Saturday. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
British fires ringed Boston as the siege dragged on. But Washington's eyes were already turned south.
WIBC celebrates the spirit of 76. Brought to you by the WIBC Daily Newsletter.
January 30th, 1776. From Cambridge, Washington ordered General Charles Lee to prepare New York for war. British ships ruled its harbor, and Washington feared the city would be their next target. Lee was told to fortify the city and raise defenses. The warning proved prophetic. The Revolution's next great trial was coming, and it would unfold on the waters of the Hudson.
The spirit of 76. History remembered. Freedom celebrated. Have the latest headlines and show content delivered to your inbox daily. Sign up at WIBC.com.
They've been working on getting rid of property taxes in that state under the guidance of Governor Ron DeSantis. But now Florida, their Senate, is advancing a bill to rename the Palm Beach Airport after Donald Trump. He just loves everything named after him, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, the guy has an ego. We've actually been and flew through that airport down there in Palm Beach. And this is...
I'm guessing that a lot of people have going to the Natty.
Yeah, although they could have flown directly into Miami. The Palm Beach airport's not that far up the coast from that, but a lot of people fly into both and then go to Fort Lauderdale and Miami and all those areas in between. But this is what happens. Keep in mind, Las Vegas renamed McLaren Airport Harry Reid International Airport. So if Harry Reid, former senator from the state of Nevada and former Democrat leader in the Senate, if he gets an airport, Donald Trump gets an airport. It's going to be tough for the Democrats to complain about this since Harry Reid got his own airport in Las Vegas.
The interesting thing about this was that the bill, it received unanimous approval in the Florida Senate Committee on Transportation. They had 9 members, and the vote came out 9-0. So 3 Democrats actually voted in favor of this bill. Now, it does require FAA approval, and they have to get possible agreements for commercial use of the new name, and all of those people who have gotten their plane tickets to fly down there. What is going to be the abbreviation of
the airport
Donald
code?
J. Trump International Airport now?
That's really interesting. And the other part of this
DJT?
Wouldn't that be good? DJT, that would be the 3-digit
PBA,
airport code.
Palm Beach Airport?
That'd be pretty good. I think it's PBI right now.
Is it?
Palm Beach International. But we're not, this is an instance where there's not the airport currently isn't named after somebody else. So it's not like we're taking somebody's name off the airport.
right.
Like McLaren. I don't know who McLaren was. I'm sure he was somebody famous and did a lot of good public works out there in the state of Nevada or Las Vegas, but they took his name off the airport and gave it to Harry
replaced
Reid.
it with Harry Reid.
Right now, it's just called the Palm Beach International Airport. So I think that makes this decision about changing it to the Donald J. Trump International Airport a little bit easier because you're not removing somebody else's name from the airport.
Something happened last night. I'm guaranteeing you weren't watching it.
Re-
I'm
Whoa,
guessing.
Really?
I'm not going to guarantee
You don't
it.
know what I'm doing.
I'm not going to guarantee it. I'm going to guess. Kendall Jenner. One of those-
Yeah, you nailed that one. You're right. I was not watching that.
I'm okay. Now, what if I throw out Jimmy Fallon in the Tonight Show?
Nope, still not watching
Definitely.
it.
Okay, now what if I throw in Tom Brady in the mix?
Yeah, okay, so I saw this story.
That's
so,
where your interest gets a
that's
little
where
bit-
that's where I start to get
Okay.
interested, but I still didn't watch this. No.
Correct. Okay, so Kendall Jenner, she was a guest on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and she just happened to FaceTime Tom Brady to get her advice on who to pick to win the Super Bowl.
Can I phone a friend? I brought my phone if I can phone a friend.
Sure. You're going to ask me? You can phone a friend. Sure.
I mean, okay.
Okay. I was going to give you my input, but guess it doesn't matter.
We can get yours after I
Yes.
talk to my friend.
Okay.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What you up to?
Not much. I'm just here with Jimmy
Hi, Tom.
and some friends.
That's Tom Brady. Come on, what is going on? Let me see.
Not staged at all.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little inside baseball information here.
Mhm.
Everything that happens on the late night shows is planned in advance. I love how they put a
Fake,
charade
fake.
going of, oh, well, I'll just call my
I'll
friend.
phone a
Jimmy
friend.
Fallon acting all surprised. Really? Who are you calling?
Mhm.
Yeah, no. This is what happens when these stars go on a late night talk show. They sit down with the producers in advance, and every story that's told, anything they're going to talk about is all hashed out well in advance, and then they inform the host like Jimmy Fallon. So this idea that this was a surprise and a shock is just a load of BS.
Right. They were trying to be relevant and topical. Hey, let's talk about the Super Bowl and Kendall Jenner's picks. And, oh, she could call Tom Brady and we'll get his detailed analysis. He praised what he actually ended up saying.
I was going to say, we cut it too early. What the part
What did
that
he
I'm
actually
interested
say?
in, who did he actually think is
Tom
going to win the
Brady
Super
part.
Bowl?
That's the part you wanted to hear.
I've got my DraftKings app open right now. I'm going with whoever Tom Brady tells me to.
He praised the Seahawks defense and mentioned their safety. He broke down the Patriots offense and commented on their coach. At the end of the day, he didn't really give an indication, and Kendall Jenner ended up going with her gut, and she chose the Patriots as the underdog winner.
Who's rooting for the Patriots? Although that kind of does make sense for Tom Brady for a couple of reasons why he didn't commit to it. Number one, he's a analyst. He does color commentary on a lot of the Fox NFL games. Number two, he's a minority owner in the Raiders. So I think there's probably he has to play the political middle on this and be like, well, both teams are really good and not commit to one team or the other. But if I had to go, I mean, is anybody really picking the Patriots? I mean, it seems like the vast majority of people are picking the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl, and I think that's where my bet's going to end up falling before next weekend.
So the Super Bowl is going to take place at Levi Stadium in California. By the way, her ex, Bad Bunny, is going to be performing at the halftime show.
Kendall Jenner and Bad Bunny were an item?
Apparently.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that's what you get from People Magazine.
Pretty good.
Doing my research here. No idea.
She's
a model.
I'm just
right?
I'm proud of myself that I know who both Kendall Jenner and Bad Bunny are. Not saying that I could identify any work that they've done. I certainly wouldn't know a Bad Bunny song. I don't even know what Kendall Jenner has done to become famous other than being part of the Kardashian family. I think she might have a makeup line or a clothing line.
Yeah, that's where she made all her
But I
money,
don't know
right?
if she's ever been on a TV show or
I don't
done
think
any acting.
You're not the target demographic anyway. So
I am
it's
not the
okay.
target demographic
You
of
could
that.
list off all sorts of things about Tom Brady, though. His accomplishments.
Exactly. Where do you want to go? 7 Super Bowls right there. I can go down his resume, the entire list.
Yeah. Let's talk about something a little bit more important. Donald Trump nominating Kevin Warsh as the next federal chair reserve. So the search began back in September. It was led by the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and he narrowed down half a dozen candidates. He took those names, narrowed it down to 4, and that's who they ended up choosing. Now, Donald Trump said last night, while he was on the red carpet for the premiere of Melania's documentary, that he was going to announce his pick this morning, and that's the name that was chosen. Trump has repeatedly criticized Powell. He's called him a numbskull, a moron, a jerk. All of this for not lowering interest rates. And at that one, they were at that factory where they were wearing the hard hats.
Yeah,
He just tried to make him look like a fool.
Yeah, exactly. Look. I mean, Powell has been retiring. He's announced this a long time ago, so we're kind of waiting on Trump for this. Now, the caveat in all of this is Kevin Warsh needs to be approved by the Senate, too, before he can take this role. So we're going to be hearing a lot about Kevin Warsh because that is not going to be an easy Senate confirmation process at all. But the experts and the financial analysts, what they're saying on this is Kevin Warsh is a good pick. So Wall Street is comfortable with this pick, and that's really an important part of this because the Federal Reserve and the way they act and things they do can dramatically have a huge impact on what happens with the stock market. But so far, a lot of the financial analysts and experts are saying that this is a good pick for Donald Trump, that he will likely cut interest rates in the short term because that's what Kevin Warsh believes should be done properly. But they also think that he is going to be his own independent person and not just follow and do exactly whatever Donald Trump thinks because he has a track record of doing that in his past.
Well, and that is something that Powell has publicly defended, that the Fed is independent. Of course, earlier in the month, the administration, they launched that criminal investigation of Powell and also the Fed, the Federal Reserve Chair. It plays a role in the monetary policy, interest rate decisions, managing inflation. Some people think that we should not have it at all. But Kevin Warsh, he previously served on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, so he does have some experience.
Yeah, and I think, it wouldn't surprise me that those two, Donald Trump and Kevin Warsh, end up butting heads in the future because Kevin Warsh has a history of being an ultra hawk against inflation. He absolutely hates inflation, and that's going to put him, or could potentially put him, with odds to Donald Trump because when inflation is high, that means the Federal Reserve needs to raise interest rates, and that's something Donald Trump has so far not wanted to have happen.
He's viewed as being pro-market and also economically conservative. So there's a new limited edition Coca-Cola can that you can purchase to help celebrate IU's national championship. They're going to be released next year.
What?
No, next week. I'm sorry, not next year. That would be quite a delay. Next week.
So we can start seeing them in stores. This is, look, I'm a sucker for my team winning the championship and all the merch that's out there. So yesterday we talked about how Upland Brewery is putting a special national championship edition packaging on their Hoosier Lager, and now we've got Coca-Cola coming in with a special national championship IU Hoosier can. That'll be fun to look at.
Available the week of February 3rd. Glass bottles are going to follow in August, just ahead of the new football season.
That seems like a long time to wait. August for the glass bottle, so you can get cans next week.
Yes.
And glass bottles, I have to wait until August.
Correct.
Okay, fine.
Something else that you can purchase coming soon. You know those little candies, the Valentine's Day candies in the shape of the heart?
The chalk hearts that are more like Tums than they are candy? Yes, I'm familiar with them.
They're coming out with some new sayings. They're getting a makeover. They're made by Spangler's Sweethearts. That's what they're called, Spangler's Sweethearts. And the company says they're getting a 26 adulting makeover.
Why do I feel like you're about to drop some really cringe lines on me here?
Well, not me. Spangler's
Well,
Sweethearts,
from this
perhaps.
story.
They said they found that 2/4 of Americans, actually 3/4 of Americans, are seeking a more affordable option for dating this year. 80% saying the economy is affecting their Valentine's Day plans. So they're offering up some new hearts. You're going to have the classic favorites like Cutie Pie and Marry Me. But some of the new sayings that are going to be available are split rent, carpool,
split rent,
buy in bulk, cook for two, and also share login.
So these are all cost effective under like the umbrella of being more cost effective in our relationship. Casey,
Split rent.
Let me ask you a question. When a man is wooing a woman and trying to be romantic, is financial savviness or cost control under your personal finances? Is that really
bring up on Valentine's
Does that really
Day?
get women worked up? Oh, honey, what are you talking about? We can skip a car payment? Yeah, I like the sound of that. Who's all for staying in and having spaghetti instead of going to the restaurant? How's that sound?
So do you remember you could make things official on Facebook? Like, we're Facebook official.
Right.
That was-
it was a status update. What's your status in a
Status update, right.
relationship
That was
or
the thing of the
single? Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Now, what's your login? Your streaming service login.
Right, sharing logins.
That's the new one.
Hey,
that means it's official. I got his Netflix login.
I'm trying to date a woman and I'm trying to get her to like me and commit to me. And the thing I give her is a candy heart that says shared login. Nothing says I'm very financially stable, like I can't afford $18 a month for Netflix, so let's split it.
No, that just means that you're serious and you're willing to give up and share.
Don't
the streaming
come.
service.
There's no way. There's no way that your average, everyday, red-blooded American woman gets that feeling from somebody that's like, "Hey, let's be romantic and split our Netflix login."
You're listening to 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the violence will continue until morale improves. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
This is Chuck Lofton, here to talk to you about my friends at Exercise Inc. Exercise Inc. is the 20-minute, once-a-week workout program that will change your life. My wife Mary and I have been clients for 6 years. The program has worked well with my busy schedule. I was getting cardio, but I started the program because I understood the importance of strength training to overall health. It's helped me with managing my blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar. The biggest help? My sluggish feeling was replaced with much-needed energy. It's designed to help clients get stronger in a shorter period of time. The studios are private, just you and your coach working to reach your goals. Exercise Inc. has 5 locations: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now Fishers. So take it from me, Chuck Lofton. Improve the forecast for your health. Go to exerciseinc.com today to request a free consultation.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait, and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-983-2077 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-983-2077. That's 800-983-2077. What do you have to lose? Call 800-983-2077. Again, 800-983-2077.
Get ready, Indy. Lynyrd Skynyrd and Foreigner team up for the Double Trouble Vision Tour live at Ruoff Music Center on Friday, August 7th with special guest Six Gun Sally. Find more details on WIBC.com.
She stood there bright as the sun on that California coast.
So you've got the President of the United States suing the United States of America.
Sounds about right for Donald Trump.
Yeah. Donald Trump, he filed a lawsuit against the IRS. He did that on Thursday. He's seeking at least $10 billion in damages.
Donald Trump doesn't sue anybody unless he's looking for $1 billion minimally. He's not suing for something in the millions. He sued the BBC in England for billions of dollars too. He loves that number.
So this is being brought on because an agency contractor leaked his tax return information to news outlets.
Yeah, so
you're not supposed to do that?
You're not supposed to do that. So this goes back to the 2020 election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and Trump famously, refused to release his tax returns. And then magically, they appeared in the inbox at the New York Times. Funny how that happens, isn't it?
How does that happen?
Just strangely enough, some reporter minded his own business, opens up his email, and right there, Donald Trump's tax return. So I'm glad Donald Trump is suing the IRS for this, because this should not happen. And by the way, wasn't just Donald Trump's tax return that got leaked. Hundreds and hundreds of Americans' tax returns got leaked to the New York Times. And most of them were just average, everyday Americans. It's not like they were all people in a position of power. So great on Donald Trump for doing this. Maybe that'll force the IRS to actually crack down on their security measures and security protocols to make sure this doesn't happen again.
So federal law normally requires that lawsuits have to be filed within 2 years. The Trumps argued that they only discovered the leak much later after a formal notice from the Treasury. So that's why it's only happening now.
So if you're Donald Trump and you're the president of the United States, and you oversee the IRS, because the IRS is a part of the executive branch, which Donald Trump oversees, and you sue the IRS, and you're in charge of that department, can Donald Trump decide that the IRS has to settle its lawsuit against Donald Trump?
Does get a little wonky, doesn't it?
It does. But I mean, these are real questions that are going to have to be answered as this goes through the legal system.
The suit was filed in a federal court in the Southern District of Florida. So we've got the March Madness bubble being talked about. There are some teams that are, being talked about as being potential competitors in March Madness.
And this is the great thing about sports. We got the Super Bowl next weekend. We're going to roll straight into the Winter Olympics. And then by the time that's over, it's March Madness. It never, ever stops. So, yeah, I mean, it's that time of year. We're going to start talking about teams and whether or not they're going to make the, 64-team tournament or not.
You've got just a month left in the regular season. Some teams are building momentum. Others are starting to scramble. So let's take a look at some of the bubble teams people are talking about. One of them is a matchup that's going to happen tonight, I believe. Is it tonight?
It's this weekend.
Tomorrow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's tomorrow. So one of the teams is UCLA. They're saying that they've had some quality wins, but they've also had some bad losses. New Mexico is another team. Miami. There's that team again.
Back again.
Different sport. And the last one is Indiana, IU.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Hoosier basketball team finishes out the year. They had that huge win over number 12 ranked Purdue earlier this week. They've had some other rock-solid wins, and then there's some other teams that are absolutely collapsing and helping IU because they may clear some space. Teams like TCU and Seton Hall started out the season really well. Now they've just kind of totally gone into the toilet here. So IU has a real chance now to make the 64-team tournament in March Madness.
Well, they're saying that their upcoming West Coast trip to play UCLA and also USC, that's really going to be critical on their standings.
Yeah, I'm not going to say
their path forward.
I'm not going to say that West Coast trip is make or break for them, but it is a huge part of it. Has there ever been a better time to be a Hoosier sports fan? We've got the football team winning the national championship and what looked to be a soft IU team in basketball this year.
Not so soft.
Starting to get a lot better.
Not so soft. All right, that's going to do it for us. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for listening. This is 93 WIBC.
In those Hollywood hills, she was looking so right in her diamonds and frills. All those big city lights and those high rolling hills. Above all the lights, she had all of the skill. Hollywood nights,
When you have a fire emergency, you need a restoration company you can trust to put everything back together. Pat Sullivan here for the Michaelis Corporation. I know, I've relied on Michaelis after a fire at my home. I'm here with the owner, Richard Michaelis. Richard, what makes Michaelis the right call if you have a fire?
Michaelis is local and family owned.